Welcome everybody to an extremely important day in League of Legends history. It is the final day of the regional qualifiers for the LCK region for the 2020 World Tournament. It's me, Valdez, with LS, aka T1 LS. How are you doing over there, man?
I'm doing pretty good, Valdez. This is a very exciting match. It's between Gen G and T1. It's going to be the final deciding factor on what is going to be the last team representing Korea at the World Championship 2020. And this, I feel like it's going to be bittersweet for a lot of fans. I think a lot of people want to see both of these two teams go to the World Championship, but it's not going to be possible. And also, this is one of the biggest rivalries in the LCK as well.
Yeah, absolutely. These guys go at it on the Rift. They go at it on Twitter. I mean, I know you guys have definitely seen Joe Marsh and Arnold, taking swings at each other and stuff like that. It's a lot of fun. But as you did mention, one of these teams, unfortunately, is going to drop out and not go to Worlds, which is really unfortunate because it does feel like both of them would fit in very well over there alongside of DRX and Donlin, who have already qualified. You know, T1 is looking really great, especially with the roster that they brought in yesterday. I think that surprised a lot of people, and, you know, everybody got really hyped for that one. And, of course, Gen G were looking awesome until they unfortunately fell to DRX after the 3-hour pause that we had the other day. So, either way, guys, we do have this tournament bracket here. As you guys can see, we got one final best of 5 to decide who is going to make it.
Yeah, and I mean, today's match, it is going to be a bit interesting because of the roster T1 is fielding. Again, Gumayushi is going to be down there in the bottom lane. Elam is going to be in the jungle. Faker is yet again in the mid lane. And yesterday versus Afrika, the scoreline is 3-1. T1 could have legitimately won all 4 of the games that they ended up playing. It was a very dominating victory, which is pretty good news if you're a T1 fan, because they had been looking pretty shaky. They fell to Afrika in the playoff series. And I think that if yesterday's performance wasn't the way it was, everyone would predict Gen G to just roll them over today.
Absolutely. It was definitely a really great look, as we're going to take a look at some of the points of the match in these very awesome videos that we get. Autumn Gen G is coming. They are the Gauntlet Kings for a reason. They really just do not lose in Gauntlet when the pressure is on. And so, of course, we'll see if that Gauntlet buff will come out today, as we're taking a look at the 2018 regional qualifier results, where they did make it through. As you can see, they actually made it through SKD at the time in the first round there.
And Gen G, they dominated DRX in 2 games back-to-back, and then there was the pause. It should almost have its own thing in the Leaguepedia pages. The pause was the great pause that managed to offset the entire momentum of the series and allow DRX to come back. Gen G with a massive blunder at the very end as well in the final game at the Baron. They had Ocean Soul available and threw it all away in one fell swoop, and DRX managed to, honestly, they DB Cooper that game 5. That was a robbery.
Yeah, it's really true. I mean, DRX, they absolutely deserve to make it through for what they were able to pull off up against Gen G. We're looking like the obvious choice for a lot of people to go through, but it was not the case. As you can see, Ruler, this was actually a game in which they lost, but he was able to pick up a pentakill as DRX were coming into the base, which, we always talk about how strong Ruler is. I'm really curious to see Gumayushi go up against this caliber of an 80 carry in Ruler tonight.
Yeah, I mean, Gumayushi, this is going to be another big test for him. Obviously, against Mystic yesterday, they ended up winning bottom lane a lot. There was a lot of resources given to Gumayushi. Yesterday, they allocated several heralds towards him. There was a lot of bottom lane rotations. They were really just trying to get him ahead, basically at all costs. And so I think that speaks to the level of confidence that T1 have in him as a player, and what type of results they're probably having inside of scrims, and why he's coming out here today. So let's see if this T1 roster is going to manage to walk the walk against Gen G, because I think that most people consider them underdogs coming into this match.
Yeah, I mean, it's absolutely true, right? They were able to dispatch of Afrika with not too much trouble, but Genji is a different beast, so we'll have to see how that does pan out today. I think a lot of T1 fans are going to be happy with Faker's performance as well yesterday. Absolutely kind of made it so that we probably will not be seeing Closer today, I would imagine, as he did play quite well yesterday on a multitude of different champions. His Silas was a treat to watch, as you guys got to see the big highlight. And then, of course, Gumayusi picking up his loved Draven and having a fantastic performance on that as well. It's going to be a big one. This one best of 5 is going to decide who does make it through. Let's take a look at some of the stats, though, before we do get onto the Rift.
And we see Genji, lots of second place stats. Win rate with the gold lead at 10. They are 30-2. Win rate with the gold lead at 20. They are 31-3. So typically if they're ahead, they're going to manage to bring the game home. T1, though, on the flip side, their stats aren't as clean. They tend to throw things. We saw it yesterday even against Afrika. They were in a very commanding spot and then randomly blundered the game away. And obviously that could be very worrisome here. I think the drafts are going to be very, very, very important between these two teams. And I wonder if Genji has anything in store.
Yep, as they always are. We'll get into the fun drafting in just a bit. And I thought yesterday, you know, we've talked a lot about T1's drafting. I feel like Genji does a pretty good job overall, but I think that T1 also did a pretty decent job yesterday. I'm not sure how you felt about that overall.
Well, I think T1, they definitely looked like a much cleaner team. They seemed better overall. I think Kana had fantastic performance. Gumayusi, I think, definitely living up to the hype in that series. And Faker having one of the best series that he's had in a very long time. Even in the defeat, he still managed to look quite good. And Elam, I mean, he's doing everything that is pretty much needed of him. The one thing I'm worried about from yesterday, though, was effort. Effort was a bit off at several points inside of the games. But that was really the only identifiable weak link on the side of T1.
Yeah, absolutely. I thought that Elam played a very good, just, you know, supportive role for his two really strong laners in Kana and Faker. And we'll see if he'll be able to do that as well, and how effort is going to show up. And can Faker and Gumayusi put on as good of a performance? I'm also, you know, we talked about Genji a bit, but I think that's also at the end of the series up against DRX that this man right here, BDD, was, you know, it wasn't playing as well. He was getting kind of smacked around by Chovy in the lane, especially.
Yes.
So up against Faker, I think he's really going to have to turn it up and have a better performance today.
And so that was one of the most interesting things about the DRX Genji series, is that Chovy just really had BDD's number that day. Even though BDD has been able to go toe-to-toe with Chovy and Showmaker, who those two are in a bit of a tier of their own in the mid lane right now, especially in LCK, but then the very next tier is BDD and Faker. So these two, I would expect a much more even match, but if BDD is still a little bit off, it could just go in T1's favor.
Absolutely. I think they're going to have to shore up all their weak links, and even if people feel like they are the favorites to come in here and take this victory, I think anything can really happen. As you could see, it does look a little bit tense there in the room. I think everybody's kind of, you know, buckling down for this really high-pressure series. And you can see Ruler was stretching a bit there. T1 looking a little bit more relaxed, but you can see Kana's actually, you know, smacking his face a little bit, maybe waking himself up here before the series, wants to get ready. He's got a big bottle of water there as well. Stay hydrated, as all of you in the chat should as well.
One of the things I'll point out about this setup is they are weak to Nocturne. Okay, all of their desktops are set up in a way that they cannot just look at each other's screen, as they normally would be able to. Not that that's really going to matter all that much. Genji, on the flip side, we'll see what they're going to be able to do here today. Kana should be able to have an easier time against Rascal. Not that Rascal is a slouch by any means, but he did go up against Keen yesterday, and he looked very, very good.
Yeah, for sure. I think Kana was another breath of fresh air for T1 fans. I mean, obviously, we've been talking about how good Kana has been playing in the season, but he really stepped it up as well, up against a really strong laner in Keen. As we're getting into the pick ban here, you can see that no no AD carries essentially so far, no Lucian either.
Well, all marksmen getting banned away, and I wonder if this is Gen G's plan, if Ruler is going to play something non-traditional, or if they'll just go with a B1 Ezreal after everything is said and done. T1, if they want to keep this up, they could ban away the Senna. However, if they think Gen G will pick the Ezreal, they could just respond with Senna. And Senna in the later stages does eventually end up overtaking Ezreal. Wow. All right, well.
Yeah,
5 marksmen removed from the table.
And it's pretty interesting because, as you mentioned, Senna is still available, but Draven also available, something we saw yesterday, and I think something we are seeing a bit more overall. As Volibear is going to be the choice here for Clid. Looks like they're going to highlight that pick in the jungle to start us off.
And I imagine that Senna would come in here, most likely. Now, the interesting thing is, does Ruler have a mage prepared like Ziggs, or even Syndra down in bottom? Or we could see Varus or Jinx even end up coming out. But no, T1, they're going to continue on with the Renekton priority. And if you look at the context of yesterday's games, Kana didn't do a whole lot on Renekton in some of the games. But he's able to just basically be left on an island, pretty much, is what ends up happening. There was one game where he did have a very dominating performance, though, against Fly up in top. Now Set is insta-locked in. That's probably going to be for life. He's one of the few remaining support players on the Korean ladder that still plays Set. And okay, Zillion could be on the agenda if Azir would get locked in.
Yeah. Obviously, BDD is very famous for his Azir, and he is going to be locking that in. He's really a game changer when it does come to those team fights, especially with his Azir. It's a very safe lane for him as well. Nope. And there you go. Echo is just going to be the straight-up response right away out of Faker. So that's going to be a treat for you guys out there. We get to see Faker on an assassin, essentially. A very aggressive response to the Azir.
Now we're going to move into the second ban phase, and if T1 wants to, they can keep up the marksman bans and then just guarantee that they get the better edge. But they might be thinking that something is aloof right now. T1 actually going to ban away the Misfortune. Teddy is one of the Misfortune players. Teddy not here today. We have Guma Uzi in the bot lane instead.
Nidalee, a very common pairing with Renekton, so that's going to be taken off the board. Looks like Gen G don't want to ban out too many AD carry options from here. But, you know, they still do have that last ban, so I'm curious to see if we'll just get 2 more AD carry bans after all of this so far. It's been 6 AD carry bans in this game, and that's going to be number 7. Zaya is going to be off the board. And what is next for Gen G?
Wow. Okay, this is, I mean, I imagine at this point that Senna would, Senna has much more potency with the Nautilus as well as the Renekton and the Echo. The Aphelios is very unexpected because Azir is very good at controlling terrain against him. However, Aphelios is very good against Set and Volibear. But if Ezreal gets locked in, things can get very dicey for T1, and I feel like that's a very big fumble in the draft phase. Even Senna getting locked in is definitely problematic. Senna, historically, a champion that countered Aphelios. And now I love this out of Gen G, the B4, B5, Senna and Graves coming in, terrain control, longer range than their opponents, very good champions at handling dive, and I mean, I don't know what to say, Valdez. Throwaway 1 is what it seems like the draft phase for game 1 has been.
Oh, yeah. Does feel like that a little bit. Let's see what we're going to see in the jungle. Looks like Kindred is going to be the response to the Graves. So there you have it. LM coming out with this interesting pick. And especially with the 780 carry bands, this looks like a draft that you wouldn't necessarily expect, as currently Ruler is on the set. There you go. Going to swap that one back. Thought they were trolling for a second, but it's not going to happen.
Well, this is a very snowbally team composition for T1. If they don't get ahead early, it's going to be so difficult for them to win. Rascal going to be on the Volibear up in top lane. This is a good matchup for Volibear. He's able to beat Renekton inside of the laning phase on his own, and that's going to leave it so that Clid can just be in a lot of other places. This draft, there is so much pressure on Faker or Gumayushi to try to remind us how many years Aphelios is.
He's a pretty old guy. Lives longer than most of us. And yeah, I mean, if there is one player to do it, it would be probably Gumayushi or, Ruler across the aisle. So curious to see how he is going to make that happen. As you mentioned, lots of range in the Azir and Senna to try to handle him. But we'll see how it does go down. As out of this, I mean, it's really cool to see Faker just very confidently jump onto the Echo once again here, and we do get to see the Kindred coming out as well, so really enjoy the picks. But guys, let's get into the games. It's game number 1 of this best of 5 to, again, decide who is going to be the third team from Korea to make it to Worlds is going to happen right now.
Well, everyone looks like they're just going to be spreading out here at the very start of this. Peacemaker set is going to be the Chroma and skin for life. Not a whole lot should happen in the early stages of the game unless LM gets a little bit frisky. But no matter what, there's definitely some interesting stuff going on here. They R5'd Kindred. Even though Azir in some worlds can just shove you out of the Kindred ultimate, but then in addition to that, Set can superplex you out of the Kindred ultimate. So there's a bit of counterintuitive stuff going on here, and yeah, that ward is gonna just barely be able to survive. Hail of Blades, Echo.
On both of them, Hail of Blades Azir.
Yeah.
And Hail of Blades Echo, so
seems like
we're hailing the blades, I guess.
BDD has learned the lesson since facing Chovy with how he's going to elect to start. Now I'm just going to do a solo blue start here.
Yeah, so no leash happening there. Efforts, no leash for both sides actually. Yeah, so you see Life is going pretty aggressive to start us off. A lot of trading here in the mid lane as well. Looks like BDD got the very slight advantage on that one.
Yeah. And down in bottom, I mean, T1 got the much better end of that initial trade. Clid now just gonna move in here, start his red camp, or a Raptor camp, sorry. Just starting red. LM gonna take the red buff, and it looks like he's pathing up into top lane. He's dancing around right now. This is going to be the first pick for LM, first pick for Faker as well.
Well, we got the root, and this is level 2 against level 1. Ruler just abusing this bottom lane with his range advantage, and here comes Life as well. Gonna get a huge trade down in the bottom side. You can see that effort not really able to do much, as it does feel like the better melee support in those little skirmishes does end up being Set. So once again, Ruler just saying, hey, by the way, you left Senna open. And I'm going to show you why it's strong. But here comes LM. Thinking about going topside, but there is a ward, actually, that he failed to scan. So is going to waste a bit of time up here on the top side, as the ward will now go down, and that was actually spotted because it gets pinged.
This is really strange because Rascal had a cheater recall. He could have just gone for it, and he didn't, and now he's going to die.
Here we go. Yeah, the flash comes in, and Rascal's like, well, I guess I'm dead. Here comes his jungler.
Wait,
They're turning it onto the Kindred as the flash away, and the damage is not there. Rascal will survive as BDD is going to turn that one entirely around and pick up the first blood. You okay?
No, I don't think I am. I'm not sure what I just watched. Valdez, we'll take a look at it in the replay. That's a bit of a situation, for sure.
Oh, and here we go on the bottom side too. Gumayusi just gonna have to use his flash for basically nothing. Also didn't have cleanse anymore, so the trades down on the bottom side, you can just see Aphelios is getting used.
I mean, this is why it's so awkward. You pick the Aphelios blind, and he's not a blind marksman. And so even though there were the conditions of Set and Volibear present, there was also the Azir and the fact that you're going in blind. So the opponents can just respond to him face up, and I mean, this is why I mentioned it felt like this was just throw one over to Genji, because the draft was so layered counterintuitively by T1. And you can see all the lanes are having a bit of a problem. Now, top should have died. We're going to take a look at this. So Rascal, he could have cheater recalled Kana, flashes in, gets the stun, and then just watch this. Hello?
Kana's like, you know what? Actually, never mind.
I mean, you can think that he's trying to give the kill over to Kindred, but you don't need to. I don't know what to think.
Yeah, I mean, that was definitely very strange. He saw the Graves and he's like, I guess I just can't get in there. And it was a very passive play when his jungle was committing to the kill. And yeah, just ends up being the one kill. I suppose at the end of the day, if he really had the true foresight, he was saying, well, I don't want to give the 3-2. Gumayusi doesn't have flash.
Good night.
Pretty much dead.
Oh!
Actually, one last auto will come in from Ruler after the flash. And Effort, I bet you would, you know, at least want to have Ignite at this time. Maybe you could have reached for the kill onto Ruler, but it is not going to happen, as a straight-up kill will go down in the bottom side. And this game is very one-sided so far to the side of Genji.
Yeah. This is really just looking like Genji are running away with game number one. And we saw them do this to DRX even. In some of the games, they can just obviously run away with the victory very easily. And when you consider the way that the draft is as well, it's not like, well, T1 still has mid-game or T1 still has late game. That's not really on the agenda. Ruler and Life very intelligently pulling the wave, not CSing it immediately. They're trying to threaten a freeze if they would want to. Now, unfortunately, Graves is not in close proximity down in bottom. Otherwise, they can get a little bit more reckless and trade away HP values.
Here goes BDD. It's going to be a trade of ultimates. The smite will come down. Clid reaching for the kill, but over the wall comes the Kindred. And the damage is not there.
Oh?
There's that chunking down, and down will go Clid in the trade of the junglers. So Clid overstaying his welcome, and LM gonna pick up a kill for himself. Hitting in the side in the river. Here comes Rascal, will flash on in, and LM only level 4 is going to go down. That is a second kill going to BDD's Azir.
Yeah, and I mean, this Azir hasn't recalled yet, and as soon as he does, things are gonna get very problematic. And actually, hold on.
Oh man,
Gumayusi.
Yeah, trading it.
Yeah.
Gumayusi, who is going to go for the cleanse. And the Ignite will come down. Here comes Faker with actually a fantastically timed roam. He's going to get on in there. Effort will get that passive down, and they will assassinate Ruler, as that kill will go the way of Gumayusi. So Faker not able to pick up the kill, but a really nicely timed gank, and now they're going to get some plates.
Yeah, that was a little bit surprising, the way that Gumayusi played that, and played it very reserved. The Haymaker still should have been on about an 8 or 9 second cooldown from set. They're gonna end up getting the turret plate, and that was a really good roam down by Faker. Pay attention to this. Oh, this is the different timing. They just go in, they get the kill. Echo's mid, I can't see him. Or Echo's not mid. And then right here, this is it. So pay attention to the Haymaker, ends up whiffing. And then right here, Gumayusi playing very reserved, but Life was out of cooldowns, and him being at around 200 HP, if Ruler would stay, they would get double killed. regardless if Life would have to turn back around. They play it very safe and reserved. End up getting the turret plates in the end. Faker here with the ultimate. Didn't get the damage application, and Clid had flash available. I thought he would just flash out. But he ends up just dying.
Yeah. Looked very awkward, for sure. And Rascal, still with flash, didn't use it up on the top side, and is able to get on in there and smack down onto the Kindred, who is only level 4, even after picking up that kill. So we do have a pause.
It wouldn't be an LCK day with you and me without this.
Yeah, well, you know, we haven't had too many episodes of Forbidden Love, so they were like, well, let's give him a chance. It's the last day of the LCK, and apparently Rascal has some lag. So, again, this is one of the problems that is not an easy fix, because they need the ref to get over there, they need to confirm it, they need to try many different things, and then, you know, can get a bit awkward, so may just end up having a longer episode to start off. And apparently heard maybe it will take around 5 minutes. So so how you doing over there, LS?
I'm doing fine. Honestly, it wouldn't be a day of LCK with you and me without a pause. A long one, too. This is the first of many, by the way. Just throwing that out there, yeah.
I read the script. I saw that actually we have about 5 or 6 pauses, depending on how the games go. Scheduled for you guys, of course. And yeah, we had the great pause. Obviously, we did that last week. That was about 3 hours, so little pauses don't faze me anymore. And I've built up my stamina after the last time.
Well, this is going to be pretty interesting. Now, game number 1 is going pretty good for Genji. Pretty much all around, they have the better team comp. The longer the game ends up going, T1 are in a bit of an awkward spot in the game. They did just get some advantages down in bottom, and there's always the chance to 200 years the opponent. But the issue is that they're going to have some anchors on their team that aren't going to really be able to interact with their opponents the longer the game goes on. And so you have to wonder what the out is realistically going to be, and what kind of a rabbit is T1 going to have to pull out of a hat in order to pull this back. And remember those stats about Gen G, not that they're, you know, definitive, but typically when they're winning like this, they do tend to just continue the pile driving and bring it home.
Yeah, I mean, overall as a team, they're very consistent, and they really don't throw games away when they are ahead. And yeah, here we are once again. And this game is definitely going the way of Gen G to start off, and it's kind of unfortunate. We saw that Faker was doing everything in his power to try to turn it around, and actually it was a pretty nice timing on the gank out of LM. So they have had some nice plays themselves, but it still remains to be seen if they can actually come back in this game.
Yeah, well, I mean, it is also only game 1. And I think going back to the ban pick, it was very interesting. We had 7 marksman bans, which is pretty unholy. And then the 2 marksmen I expected to see was Ezreal Senna. I thought T1 would actually take the Senna because they have...
Ezreal was banned, actually.
Was it? Oh, he's banned in the second phase. Yeah, you're right. So...
No, it was the 3rd ban of the first phase on red side, actually.
I wish I could say lost memory. Likely senile, actually, here. Likely senile. So, not a big deal. Yeah.
Oh, man.
But Senna, with Echo and Renekton helping enable them as they go in, would just have made so much more sense. Because you heal them as they go in, you don't necessarily have to follow up with them, you're still able to stay at a relatively safe distance. Whereas on the flip side, Aphelios, he now must go in. And so when you have other champions that must go in, like Echo and Renekton, it's a lot easier for the opponents to respond to you when the champions that must go in don't have as much buffer or help coming to them. This is why team compositions like Yuumi and Karma with Olaf is so helpful because you just get so much EHP through their shielding and healing and things of that nature. So I was very surprised by where these marksmen ended up, you know, finalizing themselves in the draft, but it was very, very interesting. I thought we would get a Jinx or something.
Yeah, I mean, Jinx was an option. We saw Kog'Maw being hovered earlier on this week, and well, we haven't seen him yet, but will be interesting. Also, Draven was left available, but they decided not to go into that pick either. And yeah, so that's about what happened down on the bottom side. I'm curious to see if there's going to be as much focus on the bottom lane after this one, especially by Gen G. If they see, well, he's just going to play Aphelios, then, well, we'll be happy with that. As, yeah, still waiting on the fix, guys. I'm sorry about the pause. This is one of 6 pauses that we're going to have, of course. And, yeah, just hanging out here.
Yeah. Everything's exquisite. Honestly, it's
Feeling good?
Indeed.
What did you have for breakfast today?
I haven't ate, actually. I had a coffee.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Coffee.
Had a coffee.
Oh, man.
I'm on an empty
I
stomach.
can't drink coffee on an empty stomach.
Well,
I don't know. It just it really gets to me if I do that. But I had some pho.
what?
It was very good.
What?
Yeah. Some pho. You know, like Vietnamese noodles?
Pho?
You ever had it? Yeah, pho. I thought it was pronounced pho.
Is it pho?
I'm not sure. I really don't know.
Okay.
It was good. It was good. I enjoyed it. And, yeah.
Okay.
It was pretty good.
All right, I'm probably gonna eat after.
What are you planning on eating later today? You gonna have another coffee? Is there anything else you got planned for the
There's limited options here in the Death Realm.
That's true.
I will let you know about that. You know, I will. I'm not sure what.
Story.
Yeah, likely story. There's very limited things that I can get, you know, delivered here. Yeah. So, also it's pouring up here in Chun. So yeah, how is it in Seoul?
It's fine here.
Okay.
I mean, it's a little bit gray and cloudy, but other than that, it's pretty fine.
All right.
Just, you know, still struggle because we can't really go outside too much with
yeah,
all of the COVID, of course.
a lot of places around here have now closed in the last 2 days, but I thought everything was getting better because the cases have dropped dramatically. But I was telling Atlas in one of the casts that basically it's now at a point where you have to have a QR code to go into shops, and then you also have to sign in, and then you have to record your name, phone number, and something, and there's a camera that records you too. It's definitely interesting. It's yeah.
Take your temperature.
Yeah.
It's a process.
Yeah.
It takes like a good 3 minutes to go anywhere.
Yeah. Yeah. And
you know what's actually happened because of that is delivery food has been selling a lot more. There's actually like
yes.
everybody's just, you know, buying delivery food, as I did today, actually, which makes sense. In Korea, you can get pretty much anything delivered as well.
Yes.
They have great services where, you know, even if you want something from a convenience store, you can pay someone to, you know, just hop on a motorcycle, go over and bring you a bottle of water if that's what you wanted. So definitely pretty fun, very convenient living in Korea. And we're still just hanging out, guys, still waiting on the lag situation. I'm just watching the Korean commentators. Looks like they're still talking about the game, which is a bit unfortunate. Not too much else to say about the game.
Yeah, the game is in a pretty weird state right now. It's still very early on. Obviously, chaos can still unfold, and T1 could manage to get back into a pretty good state, but besides that, not much else about the game to talk about. I will say, though, that these two teams are the reason that the match is as intense as it is for the final seed is that a lot of people perceive these two teams to be the second strongest seed that would actually be going from Korea. I know that is a very popular consensus on Reddit and Twitter and elsewhere, and amongst other analysts and pro players. So it is a bittersweet ending for one of these two here today. So we'll see. What does...
It's going to be pretty rough. I mean, imagine you go through here and it's like a 5-game series and you just barely don't make Worlds because you're facing off against such a strong team. If Gen.G had just made it through, then we probably would be watching T1 versus DRX at this moment in time, which also would have been interesting. But I think that T1 might have had a better chance against them. They could shut down Chovy, which I think overall Faker can do a decent job of that.
I feel like T1 versus DRX matches up a lot better because DRX is so willing to sin, and then DRX and T1, when it comes to drafting, they're both all over the place. It's honestly just roll the die. But Gen.G tend to always gravitate towards the more stable, solid kinds of drafts that have very interesting either chemistry or very tailored breakpoints throughout the game that really doesn't often have a reliance on getting ahead. And so when T1 goes up against Gen.G, you get a little bit nervous because you start sweating and scratching your neck. You're like, what draft is it going to be this time? And sometimes you end up with a draft like this one in Game 1 where we're mostly watching until 10-15 minutes, because if Echo, Renekton, Aphelios, Kindred don't get ahead, it's going to be a nightmare. It doesn't mean that they're out of it. It doesn't mean they can't win. It's just going to mean that it's extremely unlikely that they're going to win the longer that this game goes up against Gen.G draft. And this is just something that can happen because of the way that T1 historically, throughout the entire year, has tended to draft.
Yeah, I could definitely see them getting in a bit of trouble in this series up against Gen.G, because as I mentioned before, I do think that Gen.G has some pretty good drafting overall. They have comfort picks that are very meta, right? Like we see BDD play Azir a lot of the time, Rascal loves his Renekton, Clid can play pretty much anything, and having that solid of a bottom lane is also very helpful in terms of champion pools and basically playing whatever you want to play. So I feel like that helps them a lot, basically. And I think maybe we're getting the word. I was watching Caster Jun, who's doing this cast, seeing if he's getting any word about when this lag pause is going to happen. I know it's rough when you're playing on 12 ping instead of 9. Definitely not a fun time.
Excellent.
We're getting the word actually that we're zooming soon. So maybe Forbidden Love is going to end here in just
This is going to be one of the last episodes of Forbidden Love. Yeah.
This is the last day of LCK. This might be the last time you guys see this.
Yeah.
I know Atlas was, his last day was yesterday. Shout out to him. Had a fantastic year, as always. And looks like we're back in the game, guys. So we actually do have League of Legends stuff to talk about. And let's get it going.
Well, about a 1.3k gold lead right now. Azir with a monstrous recall. Sork Pen Boots and Lost Chapter is going to be picked up here.
Yeah, and the fact that he's so far ahead means that he can easily just scoot over to the Rift Herald. It's going to be taken here right after 8 minutes, so not wasting any time with that. I would imagine that T1 have a pretty good idea that this is going on, but they're not going to do the thing where they rotate their whole team over or anything like that, so that's pretty nice for them. Faker just kind of on pushing duty. We'll see if he goes for any other big roams. Had a big one to start off this game.
And,
little hook onto Ruler.
Well,
We're going to get a nice amount of poke down. As the Q landed, but Gumusi doesn't actually follow up on that one.
Well, I think at this point, Gen.G, all they have to do is just play everything very safe and stable. Mostly because Graves already has that Rift Herald picked up. He's clearing down to the bottom side. No dragons have been taken yet. And ideally, you want to use the Rift Herald in mid lane. Not on any of the side lanes. It opens up and accelerates the game a little bit too quick. And Gen.G, they want everything to be very safe, very stable. Want the game to go as long as possible. But mid lane is generally lane that you want to crack down first.
Yeah, for sure. As the Cloud Drake is going to be taken here, Infernal is next. And still just 1,000 gold lead here for Genji in this game. You saw that T1 actually committed 4 people to go over there and take that down really quickly. So not wasting any time with that one. And I'm very curious about LM's current state. I know he missed his first mark because of the double scuttle from the Graves after the shenanigans up in the top lane. But maybe got the one on the kill. And that's about it. We'll have to check in with this one.
Well, 1,000 gold lead right now for Genji. You can see Clid down here didn't actually do his golem camp, and now with Echo seeing that there's no Raptors, they should actually be able to deduce that Clid's down here. And I say that because you know when he took the Rift Herald, you see how Volibear's playing the lane, you know that it's not natural for that Raptor camp to still be up and not getting taken. Nothing else makes any sense.
Yeah, and overall it was a pretty good read. There's the Rift Herald going to crash into the bottom turret. And it's only going to get a couple of plates, so nice little chunk down in the bottom side. But especially with Gumiushi on that Aphelios, has some pretty good wave clear, so I would imagine it'll be a while before that one does go down. LM waiting in the wings here, but flash available for BDD. And so they're not going to go for any play.
And meanwhile, up in top lane, Kana and Rascal, they're still just going at it. Kana is ahead a little bit in the XP department. Not by a whole bunch, but it looks like Rascal...
Ooh, he's getting in there.
Yeah.
And he's got his ultimate available. He will absolutely go for this play. Kana getting pretty low, and he's going to be smacked.
Oh!
One last auto would have...
Oh!
Oh, it's trying to be sniped, and Ruler nearly gets him there. Really great try. He was just on the edge of the Dawning Shadows, but there you go. Kana is going to get away, but a nice little trade up in the top side either way for Rascal. Will keep his flash at the end of the day.
And what a close call for Kana. And Rascal is going to be able to retain his flash advantage, though. That should be a pretty easy thing now for setting up lethals onto the Renekton, who didn't elect to go Ninja Tabi. But on the flip side, you can notice that Rascal did. And so a little bit of dual potency against not only the Renekton, but also the Kindred. And so now with Graves on the left-hand side, I wouldn't be surprised if Rascal just threatened to... No, we're not going to freeze this with our jungler? No? All right.
No.
All right.
He just blew his flash, but I mean, why would you want to take him down?
So the reason that it would be so good to freeze there is because Graves is in such close proximity and the enemy doesn't have Dominus, nor does he have Flash. So if you just drop the passive on Volibear and freeze the wave, Renekton can't walk up. And if he can't walk up, worst case scenario for you is you zone him out of 6 minions, which is almost an assist. And it is a very big difference in gold and EXP. Best case scenario, he tries to walk up, you pull your jungler over, and he just dies. So it's a pretty forced situation. No matter what, that those are always going to be the only 2 options that can really play out. And either one you're happy with. But instead, we're just going to play ping pong in top lane, and it's a really big lost opportunity by Genji.
Yep, absolutely. And it seems like Rascal, the only way he wants to put on pressure is by pushing. Actually being pushed in a little bit right now, but Graves is not up there at this moment in time, so kind of unfortunate there, especially with no vision in there as, okay, in goes Faker, just going to trade ultimates. You'll see this very often. It's really hard for either of them to kill each other. As another trade up in the top side, but we're not going all in this time around. Kind of just fine, but Rascal, very aggressive positioning in the lane.
Just going blow for blow. War the monsters up there, or King of the monsters, however you want to phrase it. It's kind of like Godzilla vs. King Kong, in a way, even though it's not a gorilla.
Pretty much, yeah.
Wait, is there not a gorilla LoL champion?
No, I mean, there's only Wukong, but it's not a gorilla.
It's not a gorilla. There needs to be a gorilla.
Yeah, I mean,
Wukong's dad.
Then we can have actually Godzilla vs. King Kong. For right now, though, I mean, Volibear is pretty much the closest thing you're going to get.
Yeah.
As in goes Faker. You can see he's taking really aggressive trades now. Has that Proto Belt completed. As Clid, once again, is down on the bottom side, which is going to help to push this one in. As the Infernal Drake is available, they really want to get priority around that objective. So, trying to push in and get as much positioning as possible.
Yeah, and you can see T1, they should not just give up this Infernal for free. Kana has level 11. Yeah. Rascal didn't get it yet, but Senna ultimate.
Go. The Dawning Shadows is going to come on in, and Rascal is going to flash in for that play. Needs to land this auto this time around.
Oh, no!
Have his flash, but trying to get the Storm Strike, and he's going to dodge it.
Oh.
Kana with the fancy feat today, and he will survive at the end of the day. Decides to back away. Does have a ward, but says, well, I'm not going to risk it. Let me just go back. I don't want to get shot in the face by Graves or get dove at this moment in time.
Oh, man. What a close call that is the top lane right now. Kana getting very, very fortunate with the way that everything keeps playing out. And Trinity Force almost going to be completed up there on the Volibear. Meanwhile, down here in bot lane, Clid seems very indecisive, and he's constantly skipping his Raptors and his Golem camps. Faker?
Faker is going in onto 4 members here. He's going to get stunned down and deleted. LM going to be... Actually, that was in goes BDD. Oh, it's the one as the ultimate will come down, but Rascal teleporting in and is going to make this an unfair fight. A double kill. 2 more will go to the side of BDD as he is now 4-0, a monster, and Gen.G will get this Infernal Drake.
And the thing about this is that BDD being the one that's 4-0 is the most problematic thing that you could ever really imagine, because he's the one with the terrain control. He's the one that basically says Kindred, Renekton, and Echo can't hard engage. He's the one whose Sand Soldiers say to Aphelios that he can't just walk up and free deal. So him being so big right now, them picking up the Infernal, it's really looking doom and gloom for T1 here in game number 1, because there's no insurance policies on their side of the team. Mountain Drake is coming up, which is pretty big for both of these teams, but if you just imagine how the game's going to play out, Gen.G should be the ones to get it. Faker, he goes back in. I don't know what he's thinking here. He just ends up getting caught out and ends up dying. Gumayushi jumps into the backline, not quite able, though, to get a life. Only able to get one of the kills, and ends up being a disaster for T1.
Yeah, and that was really all just started by Faker hitting that control board and deciding, being a little bit stubborn, that he's not going to leave until he takes that one down. He got the ward, but he also got killed, so definitely not a good trade. Also baited his teammates into that fight. After all of that happened, you could see he was probably calling for help, and he was pretty much already dead after expending a lot of damage onto Clid, but not really able to get the job done. And as you mentioned, definitely pretty scary right now. Faker gonna get that slowed down, but life pretty fast here. Trying to get in range, but Proto Belt will be used at the last moment to just make sure that he does not go down.
And meanwhile, up in top lane, it's still a bit of an island. Trinity Force not yet complete for Rascal. They're just going to be going blow for blow, but it's almost a 4,000 gold deficit with Gen.G having the much more valuable dragon. And everything is probably going to be pretty calm for the next couple of minutes.
Yeah, just kind of chilling out like we were before. Not really too many plays to be made at this moment in time. They can go for Shirley here. And the mid turret has actually taken a little bit of damage, as you can see. So maybe they'll actually try to extend into taking down that very important tier 1 mid turret. I can imagine it'll be pretty easy with the help of our second Rift Herald, Shirley. As everybody seems to be grouping up around the mid lane to try to get in there. As in goes BDD, he's going to find Gumayushi, and he is just dead. I mean, there was no vision there, but there wasn't the enemy jungle on that side, so I'm curious how they had no idea that BDD was there, and how that kill just looked so free.
Yeah, and I mean, right now it just feels like T1 is a little bit lost on what to do inside of this game. Gen.G, they're the ones with complete autonomy and control. over everything that's going to be allowed to happen. Faker's just trying to split push down in bottom. He's going Lichbane's second item here on the Echo. But the Mountain Dragon, that's going to really decide the fate, I feel, for the game. If Gen.G end up winning that, they not only get a little bit of resistances, but they buy themselves an extra 5 minutes of just scaling time where nothing is really allowed to happen. BDD with a very nice engage there on Gumayusi. Everything's just really playing itself right now. Valdez?
Yeah, I mean, this is why BDD plays this year, right? There are moments where he can just make some incredible plays, but again, that one kind of looked just free. I mean, Gumayusi was too far up the lane with no vision on the mid-side brushes, and he didn't even have flash, so got to be a little bit smarter about exactly, you know, knowing how the game is going and exactly how passive you have to be in order to survive. As I say that, he's pushing out mid lane, misses that cannon, it looks like, which is pretty unfortunate, as Faker has assumed the role of the top laner for now.
Wow. He's going to be trying to shove in the wave. Kana on the run right now. Going to get ulted by the Volibear. Clid not
Yeah, here comes life as well. Clid a little bit unfortunate with this pathing. Will they have the damage is the question. As Dominus is used, and he will flash Ignite, ticking at this moment in time. Rascal gonna get on in there, rooted underneath the turret, but just trying to get that slowdown onto Gumayusi and just barely clips him at the end. So another kill over to the side of Gen.G. Meanwhile, they're just pushing mid. Nobody's here.
No one's...
And they're getting so much value.
Yeah, I mean, Faker's he's pushing top tier 1, but it's not gonna end up mattering. BDD is here. And this is a pretty cut and dry. No, don't kill that. They should let the Herald charge and then let the next wave kill the inhibitor. And if you end up doing that, you get super minions at 21 minutes, which is really valuable because you funnel in 5 minutes of waves into you for EXP and gold that the opponents are never going to be able to get access to. And it's not like the opponents can just randomly start up the Baron, right? You know that they're about to get the Mountain, and so you can't even make an argument for that. This would be so much better if T1 could allow their mid-tier 1 inhibitor to just end up going down. I've seen a lot of teams, actually, they intentionally don't take the inhibitor, and it's for reasons like this.
Absolutely, but they did not do that after all. The fourth mark is going to finally be taken here by Ellum at 22 minutes, so a little bit slow on that one. Good on his teammates to help him out, and Kana is just getting kind of abused here in the side lane. He's got Gumayusi nearby.
Oh!
And he doesn't even get the monster there. Sir Grompulus. Faker is incredibly fast with this TP. And we'll be looking to pick up that very easy kill. So there you go. Faker getting in position at the right time in the bottom lane once again.
Yeah, he comes in with Echo and just manages to maim the Volibear there. But not really be enough at in this game. It's almost a 5,000 gold lead here. 23 minutes.
Oh, man. Forcing the flash here, and here comes Faker as well. Will flash on in and secure that kill, and this Echo is just...
wait, what?
What? Echo's BDD, what is going on?
Hello?
In goes Faker, he's got his ultimate.
Baron?
Nearly getting on life. Kana's down here, he's got TP, so he'll just continue pushing. Volibear not in position, and they will, in fact, go for the Baron.
I mean, okay, so this changes everything, this series of events. Now, pay attention to all of their XP levels. Right now, when they end up capturing the Baron, this is not just the 1,500 gold that goes over to T1. It's also all the EXP that is going to go their way. And, okay, so Aphelios almost got an entire level off that. His XP bar highlighted in the bottom left. That is so much power, and we just see how it all starts up. Ruler, randomly in mid lane, he's got a hot nade.
They don't kill the
There was no way.
purpose.
He ends up getting brought down. Life almost going down as well. Facebreaker into the Haymaker, but Faker not quite able to get him in the end. And then immediately turned to Baron. The gold score almost evened up. And now the levels as well are pretty much even across the board. However, Gumayushi ahead in EXP. Effort is ahead in EXP. Faker's about to ding 16. BDD just dinged 15. This is a very big swing in T1's favor, and the Baron persists into the Mountain Dragon. So even though when the dust all settles, Gen G are still going to be ahead, T1 are much closer in this game than they were just 1 minute ago.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's just a massive swing after you just essentially give over 2 free kills and the Baron. And Faker is a menace right now. I mean, say what you will about how the early game went in 5-0 BDD, but it doesn't matter if you're just going to TP into 3 people and die. As here comes Light going in on this one. We got TP. They're trying to play onto Effort.
What?
As the double knockup is going to come in, the triple actually, as Gen G are just falling apart out of nowhere, and T1 will lap this up happily.
I have no idea what is the series of events that is unfolding in the last 3 minutes. Valdez, this is... I don't know. It's like a sandcastle getting hit by a wave. It's what's happening. Ruler, I think he's gonna. No, well, he's Yumu's. Yeah, okay. He has the movement speed from Senna.
Man, this is. If you're a Gen G fan, this is not what you wanted to have happen. This is not what you wanted to see. And all of those parts of T1's comp that were looking pretty weak after the early game are now just bolstered so much. It's an entirely different game after the last, 2-3 minutes. And you can't really afford to make mistakes like that in this important of a best of 5.
You look at the manner in which they're being caught out. Sometimes they're handshaking it like this one. I don't know what they're thinking. Even if they get onto them, there's Lamb's Respite there. But also, it's a Stone Plate Nautilus. You're never going to be able to kill him here. I don't know what they're thinking.
Yeah, and they're focusing him because everybody else got over the wall. And they're like, well, I guess we gotta attack Stone Plate Nautilus? It's just, it's confusing, for sure. But Gen G, they're now saying, well, we got to group up for the 5v5, and we don't want to let these Drakes go down without a fight. Faker over the wall, considering going in on this one. Effort going to be frontlining. That is going to be the Stone Plate. Then another 3-man knockup. In goes Faker. He is being burst down. Has to go into that ultimate. In goes BDD. Gets the 2 of them. A really nice Emperor's Divide as there's chaos in the Dragon Pit. We get the ultimate out of LM, but actually it's T1 that are going to go down in this fight, as Kana will be fighting for his life, but will not get out of this one. 4 kills will go the way of Gen G after that
Yeah,
fight.
and so it ends up being a 4-for-2 in favor of Gen G. They're also going to reward themselves with the jungle of T1. And you can just see Azir was doing so much inside of this team fight. Take a look at it one more time. Effort, he whips the initial engage. Now, T1 shouldn't have gone for this engage. They had the Mountain Dragon. They could have just disengaged. They could have backed off. Effort loses all of his HP. Shurima Shuffle onto the Renekton. He flashes back in to the fight. Lancer Spike comes out as well. Faker doesn't have anything he can do because he can't execute anyone because of the Kindred ultimate. A little bit of counterintuitive there, but not the end of the world. Gen G, they end up standing victorious. Clid has also now caught up in levels. Rascal back to being even. Gumayushi still ahead in the XP department, but Effort and Life now back to being even as well. And this game is, it's a roller coaster.
Yeah, and KT isn't even playing, so it's been back and forth, and this is what you do like to see out of this kind of a rivalry. Unfortunately, I feel like it's kind of been back and forth because of mostly throws, although I do like BDD's play in that last one. The Lamb's fight, a little bit confusing, as LM coming in here starting once again ahead of Cuz, and playing, a very difficult champion. You need to have amazing timing and positioning to play Kindred. It's, it's very intuitive. You have to have a lot of experience on that champion. And unfortunately, in that sense, he saved some of the members of Gen G in the Dragon Pit and allowed them to come back as Effort steps up and dies. Not much else to say about that one. The slow is going to go down onto Ellum. At the same time, he's going to have to flash away. Faker waiting in the wings. You can see that insane range out of Ruler. Just tapping on the back. And now Gen G are going to take control of this one and look to push into mid lane.
Well, they're going to raise the mid tier 1 turret. And honestly, this isn't something that I tend to like that much. Mid super minions versus just the cannon minions that you have, generally they end up working against you in more cases than not. Typically, if you win a game-deciding fight, you're able to end it without a super. You just need a cannon minion, if it's going to be strong enough. Mountain Dragon is up in 2 minutes. Faker, well...
Yeah, he's in a really awkward spot now. Good flash, at least, to get out of that one. As some trading down here on the side. Oh, man, that is going to whiff, but he does get a double root. Doesn't really amount to all that much, as Faker, they're pinging where he is exactly. But can they stop it? They can actually stop the back. That is huge. He doesn't have his ultimate or his flash. They should easily be able to get Faker here. Faker only has one choice, and that's try to fight. They can't do much, as now Gen G with the Baron available could consider going for this objective.
Well, it looks like they should turn onto the Baron. Lamb's Respite is there, but now Clid's the one with the higher level. Also the Execute. I would imagine Clid would have a lot easier of a time trying to go for the burst than Ellum would. So we'll see what ends up happening. It looks like T1's actually just going to give it up. They're not even going to contest.
Kubayushi, can he do much? No, the smite will come in. And that is going to be a nice little Baron over the side of Gen G. And yeah, pretty much just opened up in the enemy jungle. We're not going to take a look at that, though. We're going to look at Effort just kind of waddling in the mid lane and getting caught out here.
And yeah, I mean, Effort randomly in mid for no reason whatsoever. Doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Gen G, they know where Faker is. Managed to get onto him. He's not able to get the recall off. They turn on to Baron shortly thereafter. They pick that one up. Now the Baron, it's going to convert. It will persist on. Okay, well.
Oh, man. Oh, that's just insult to injury at this point.
It did come at the cost of Graves' ultimate, but
super low cooldown.
Yeah,
it's
almost up.
Speed through.
It's almost up.
Yeah, and Mountain Drake will just be handed over to Gen G with the Baron buff that they still have for 2 minutes. So some extra stats bolstering what they already have. Obviously, a lot of tanky items for 3 of them. You can see the Polar Bear Graves and set, of course, rebuilding that. And here comes the push with the Baron down on the bottom side. And Faker immediately is just going to basically die. He gets sniped out by Ruler. See you later. And has 0 effect on the fight as they will continue pushing.
Well, I think this is going to be the end of the game, Valdez. I cannot imagine T1 managing to survive this final push. There's so much damage. Yeah. In goes the Rascal. He says, have a good night. You're not going to be able to do much. And BDD is just chunking through everybody on their side. Lancer Spike comes in. Kubayushi trying to put on the 200 years, but gets slapped in the face by Life. Will put him down. And so will go the Nexus as well. Game 1 will go the way of Gen G. Even with some, some big mistakes there in the mid-game, they were still able to turn it around and get back on top. Yeah, they started really throwing it away, really putting the gen into generosity was the game. But Throw 1 did manage to remain strong with some of the... In the end, that was a bit of a mess, actually, of a mid and late game transition between the two teams. This is the thing that everyone can be afraid of when watching T1 series, is when they get drafts like this. Because you have to feel really bad for the players, because it feels like they're doomed from the start. Not only are their lane matchups actually bad, they don't win mid game, they don't win late game. There's not a lot of synergy with their champions. There's no way to really set up any sort of ganks, or if there is, it's going to be very, very tall task. And nothing makes any sense. This is the thing I was talking about in yesterday's cast. Roll the die sometimes, and you get a 1. So Genji drafting as expected, playing the early into mid game about as expected. Really bewildering series of throws by them, almost costing them the game, but they managed to stabilize and carry through.
That was definitely confusing. I think maybe the pressure was getting to them a little bit, and it was just a couple of mistakes where they got caught out in really awkward spots. Like, you'll probably see in these highlights where Ruler's just kind of standing there underneath the mid lane turret thinking he can survive, and then BDD just joins in and everything else. Starts off pretty strange here as well. Countess like, yes, no, no, I'm not going to get in there. Let me just let my jungler die, and a nice little teleport play from the side of Genji as well.
I'm wondering if what Kana was thinking there is that if Volibear gets the shield and then flashes and Graves flashes and gets the ricochet off the wall, if they would both be in danger. It's the only thing I could have been thinking about there, but nonetheless, really, really, really hard game for T1 to play. We'll see how they perform on most likely blue side, right, in the next game. And then also what the bans are going to have in store, because I can't expect that we're going to have a 7 marksman ban away, only to then just get Aphelios blind and then get countered by Senna. I don't even know how that's possible.
It's, well, we figured out it's possible because of the draft today. I love how T1, they're like, you know, let's not let the turret die. I mean, BDD's strong, but it's not that strong. Free kill for them. And here's where we're thinking, like, okay, well, T1 actually have a chance. Genji are going to continue making foolish plays. Ellen gets over the wall, and everybody's targeting Ember. It's a tiny little hallway there where they're trying to fight. BDD's not even there. So, definitely another confusing fight. But Genji quickly did turn it back around.
Yeah. And this was another one of those fights by T1 that didn't really make any sense. They had the Mountain Dragons. They were effectively out of everything. And Gumayusi, I mean, there's nothing he can really do inside of this game. It's very hard for him to position in a way that he can fight. Senna's outranging him. Graves smoke screen's actually insane against him. And then Azir Sand Soldiers makes it so difficult to fight. What is Effort doing here? I have no idea.
I don't have an answer to that question, unfortunately. And this is, you know, again, it's part of the draft. You know, Faker, it's a pretty good matchup up against Azir, but it's not going to be able to do much from behind and being outranged by a billion, basically. As you can see, the damage difference was pretty large in the mid lane. BDD getting extremely fed early on in this game. It also felt like the Renekton wasn't really able to do anything after the early trade up in the top side. I mean, Volibear didn't even get the kill on the trade. BDD was the one that got the first blood, but still, I mean, Rascal was winning that lane, really.
Yeah, he was. And I mean, everything in this game went about as expected in the early stages, but it's not over. We still have a lot more games.
Absolutely, and that was only game 1 of this best of 5, but guys, we are going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, we will get into game number 2. Don't go anywhere.
사실 팀을 구성을 하긴 했는데 그동안 좀 뭐 얘기를 하고 그랬던 것도 딱히 없는 것 같아서 라인을 먼저 밀면은
다 좋아, 다 좋아.
이거 볼래 먼저 볼래 오른 봐봐 오른 파슬러
그대로 들어가.
애기 고양이였네 아니야 얘 여기 있어 해가지고
이게, 내 잘못이네.
싹 올 준비해가지고 여기까지 밀고 왜 일이 없다고 생각해
아니지, 여기 길이 보일 텐데. 근데 이렇게 텔타면 안 돼. 너 죽어야 돼.
오늘은요, 그 어느 때보다도 이제 불꽃 튀는 롤더 넥스트 사상 가장 치열한 날이 되지 않을까 싶습니다.
결승전을 향하는 마지막 관문 세미파이널이 이제 펼쳐집니다.
해주면 돼 오리아나랑
아, 이 정글이 너무 애매하다.
아이 각도가.
그러니까 각도가 왜 오늘도 티어치전이냐?
최종 파이널리스트를 지금부터 공개할 텐데요. 아 멘토분들의 표정이 좀 더 어두워지고 좀 미안한 표정을 짓고 이렇거든요.
저희는
최종의 10명을 지금부터 호명하도록 하겠습니다.
Coming at you live, real, real wild. Here to light it up, set the world on fire. Gonna break rules and hearts in tools, 'cause that's what the baddest do. Never going back, nah, nah, that. Diamonds on drip, 'cause I came to make a splash. Gonna break rules and hearts in tools, 'cause that's what the baddest do. I switch you, I'll melt your face off, disappear, I'm your eraser. And the cut just like a razor, murked up in this world, my blazer. I got all the boys on me, I got all the lines on ring. Knocking dead, turning heads, I got all the eyes on me. Pretty face, cut up to the rock. 유행 선두자, 원하지만 못하잖아. 애가 타잖아. You like whoa, 할리 you도 go. 난 알지, I know. 준비해, 'cause I like the ball. 멈추지 않아. 나는 내 그게 like a bag. 그거 말고 bye. 믿어봐, 그만큼 크게. 어깨 펴고 high. 100% 덤비지 못해. 죽여주잖아. 나는 boss. 간지 with the sauce. 원하면 줄게. I'm doing damage when just how I planned it. I do what I want when I say. 모든 날 따라해. 난 끝내주잖아. To live on the edge of insane. Coming at you live, real, real wild. Here to light it up, set the world on fire. Gonna break rules and hearts in tools, 'cause that's what the baddest do. Never going back, nah, nah, that. Diamonds on drip, 'cause I came to make a splash. Gonna break rules and hearts in tools, 'cause that's what the baddest do. It's crazy. Sorry for the bad news, sorry I'm so bad. Only took a minute for me to get what you had. Sorry for the bad news, no it makes you sad. There for a minute, baby, you should pack your bags. Way that I look should be breaking the law. If I don't got it, I take what I want. My circle small like a round of applause. You know that I love the sound of applause. You know I mean everything that I say. When you see me come and get out of the way. Back in this lane, back in this lane. Back and I'm better and ready to stay. I'm doing damage when just how I planned it. I do what I want when I say. 모든 날 따라해. 난 끝내주잖아. To live on the edge of insane. It's crazy. Sorry, not sorry for being the best. 언제든지 내가 좀 mad. Look at the gold, all on my chest. Look at the gold, call it a flex.
You never know what will happen at Worlds.
The stage is set, the curtain is drawn.
没人能够预见会是这种情况。
This is the game people want to see.
新的王者诞生了
Kaboom! They lit the fuse.
你看到了吗？
They're gonna win. This is it.
Welcome back, everybody, to the LCK's regional qualifier. We are looking for our third team to make it into Worlds, and so far, Genji has taken the lead over T1, 1-0 in this best of 5. Had some stumbles there in the mid game, but other than that, looked very, very clean. BD comes out with his Azir once again. What are you thinking about this one, LS? How do you think it's gonna go?
Well, I want to see the draft. I want to see what's gonna happen in game number 2, because I feel like this is a series that I was talking about on stream last night. I think is heavily impacted by the draft, mostly because if T1 just has something like they had in game 1, I think they're never winning. I think they'll never win these 2080s or 3070s. I just don't think that they have it in them to do that. However, if things are more stable and it's much more of a 45-55 or a 50-50 or even a 60-40, I think T1 can definitely beat Genji. And so I'm looking to see if we end up getting something like that. If we don't, this could just be a 3-0.
Yeah, certainly I think the most confusing thing was the Aphelios with Senna available. And
Yeah.
the most obvious counter pick in the world, especially when it's Ruler on the other side. That was the one where we were like, yeah, don't know about that one. And so I think there's a lot of things to tailor in the draft. Even in the support role, Life is a very common set player. Didn't seem like they had, too much to handle that. I suppose the Aphelios, but didn't have much fun with some of the other picks in Genji's lineup.
The other thing is the Kindred is counterintuitive with basically the draft itself too. It makes it very hard for Echo and Renekton to do what they want to do with their jungler, which is very problematic. And then in addition to that, the enemy has 2 champions that actually counter Lamb's Respite. So that made no sense either. Also, your top lane matchup of Renekton, the enemy can get so much value by going Ninja Tabai and Bramble Vest, which is what Rascal did. I just don't know. I mean, the draft... Solo queue could have drafted better. So...
Was there any redeeming factor? Do you think there was anything? Okay. Well, there you have it. So, all 5 picks did not meet the standard of LS that time around. So we're gonna have to see something entirely different. And as you were mentioning, I would assume that T1 will pick blue side. Of course, it is side selection for Genji in games 1, 3, and 5 because they're the higher seed, and side selection for T1 in games 2 and 4. So if they do pick blue, do you think we're gonna see 780 carry bans once again, or is something going to change because of the side selection?
The 780 carry bans themselves don't really matter when you show an inability to get why you're doing the 780 carry bans.
Yeah.
The bans themselves are irrelevant when the pick that you end up going for is Aphelios, even though there's several counters that are open to him. Obviously, you can take Ziggs into him, you can take any mage into him, you can take Senna, and Varus is actually still good into Aphelios and Senna in particular. So that's why it was so confusing, especially because Senna on R4 has at least synergy with Renekton and Echo, because she's able to support them in their job and what they're trying to do way better than an Aphelios can. So, it doesn't make any sense.
Absolutely. Certainly the biggest head scratcher there. Whereas on the side of Genji, pretty straightforward. I think they drafted pretty well for themselves. They got the Volibear, they were able to flex that. They took Set early, were able to flex that. Although, as you were mentioning, not a huge flex because Life is such a prolific Set player. So, pretty interesting to see how the draft does go for Game 2. I haven't gotten any word as to why there does seem to be a little bit of a delay. Don't believe we had any subs coming in, so not waiting on setup time or anything like that. But we'll try to get this game started for you guys as soon as possible.
Not totally sure. It would not be a day without pauses. Okay, Valdez. We always need to make sure that we have this available for us.
It's what we like. Long spans of time. And you can see here Genji's pretty much ready to go. Looks like they're all in the lobby. I'm trying to look at Klid's monitor because that's the one that's closest and also fully visible. Kana's, you can see everybody is in fact in the lobby. So maybe just waiting to start up the scheme, waiting for the word from the referee. And here we go. Looks like the pick ban is ready to go. So T1 have, in fact, selected blue. And let's see how it all pans out.
Well, let's see what the first ban of the game is going to be. Looks like Callista is going to be the first one that could get hovered and banned away. I'm cheating. I'm actually using Kana's screen. Lucian's going to be the follow-up.
And it
Azir?
again. I mean, these are the first two bans that we had from game one. Although the Azir is a mix-up. Caitlyn here again by Gen G. They do not want to see Gamushi playing that pick. Volibear. So I thought maybe they would leave Volibear available so they could potentially first pick it, but they do let it go. And it looks like they want to go ahead and select Set. No, it's going to be switched up into Ashe.
And Ashe B1 by T1 as Genji now going to pick up the Renekton. And
Renekton is selected, and
Set.
Set is also available here. So looks like this will be the selection. We're not going to have Nidalee selected just yet, and no 80 carry yet for Ruler, although Senna is available once again. See what T1 decides to pick into this. Does kind of feel like the Ashe is pretty happy about it so far. But what is going to be the selection alongside of it? Well, Pantheon trying to fight fire with fire, potentially down in the bottom side, and Ashe Pantheon was a great duo that we had from recent times in the LCK.
T1, what is their next pick going to be? We'll see what they end up locking in. Probably should be a mid laner that can just go against a wide range of champions. So let's see if that ends up being the case. Well, okay. Jace is able to, in theory, be flexed. Could go both mid or top lane. And Nidalee now is being hovered. It's going to get locked in by Clid. Or, well, by BDD for Clid. Now we move to the next ban phase, and I imagine that T1's going to try to pinch the marksman pool further, but still there's just so many champions that are open down in bot lane.
Yeah, it's always pretty difficult to go ahead and do that. They may ban some specific stuff that can be played into the Ashe, but the Lilia, once again, going to be taken off the board here this time by Gen G. And the Jace is pretty interesting. Does feel like Ninja Tabi will be pretty nice, although there is a nice amount of CC with Ashe Pantheon at the same time. Orianna is actually going to be taken off the board here away from BDD.
That makes me ponder if the Jace is actually going to go into mid lane, as Orianna is one of the good matchups against it. But we'll see. Genji now, they're going to actually ban away the Zoe, so they're not thinking that Jace is actually going to be mid. And
yeah, Jace versus Renekton, pretty common, so could imagine that that does respond to the Renekton in the top lane.
I do wonder what T1's final ban is actually going to be. Will they just continue? Okay, they're going to ban away the Akali. And it might, I mean, it could definitely be Jace up in top against the Renekton. That is an option. Alternatively, they could just do something spicy, like go Ornn top lane and pick Karthus jungle for LM. Or even Evelynn is a champion that I think a lot of people have been waiting to see. And okay, here's the Senna that we expect. Ooh, Ezreal is going to come out instead. And Ezreal is a lot better equipped in the mid-late game than a Senna would be because of the Iceborne Gauntlet and because of the long range and repositioning. No, Eve. Evelyn.
They both start with E, so
Evelyn.
you can't blame them.
Evelyn. I'm gonna go to the bathroom and Valdez,
Really malding from here. This is really interesting. I mean, Elise. We'll see if they pick something.
She actually does everything worse than Eve, except for the level 3 gank. The level 3 gank, you can argue, you can definitely make the case that Elise is a little bit better. Once Eve is 6, Eve's turret dives are basically same as Elise's, but Evelyn scales so much harder than Elise. So this is so perplexing because we've been seeing Evelyn pop up in other regions. She's one of the best magic damage junglers in the game right now, and we're seeing Elise. And Silas.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I mean, maybe...
What ultimates are on the enemy team for Silas to take?
True shot barrage. We've seen, Dominus be taken regularly, and I think the Braum ultimate actually won't be so bad against Set Renekton and Nidalee a bit, so pretty interesting. I mean, it's been a while since we've seen Elise, for sure. Maybe they really wanted to get this early game going very strong, and that's why I was looking for something that had good gank assist in the mid lane. Because Jace, he's not, it's going to be hard for them to really lock down Renekton unless, a lot of trading goes on. So, very curious to see how LM can do on a jungler that needs to be very proactive and looking for those ganks early on in the game.
Now, one of the potential upsides to picking Elise in a game like this is that the opponents probably haven't practiced against it in a very long time. So, that can be one of the upsides. So, we'll see if T1 can manage to utilize that in their favor, but this is going to be very akin to fighting fire with fire. But yet again, T1, the onus is on them. They have to get ahead. They do not have as much late game insurance policy. The Silas does sort of scale here, even though he doesn't have any real key ultimates to take, mostly because the enemy team is very brawlery, and some of their champions do tend to taper off as well, with the exception being the Nidalee and the Ezreal. But both of these two team compositions are very, very skirmishy. Just late game Ezreal here is going to be a nightmare.
I think this might be the game where Ruler pops off and does some crazy stuff, as he absolutely can on the Ezreal. Ezreal, also another champ that we don't see all too often nowadays, but we see it here or there, and Ruler does like to pick it up every once in a while. Looks like a cull start first for Gumayusi down on the bottom side, as LM is considering getting on into the enemy jungle as well. Will be spotted.
And it's going to be Conqueror Elise as well. So not going for Electrocute or anything of that nature. Has Water Walking and Nimbus Cloak available. On the flip side, you can see Conqueror Elise, Presence of Mind there as well. And we'll take a look at all of the runes in just a second. We're going to have to... Okay, there is definitely some Presence of Mind on T1 side.
Whoa.
Except for the Elise.
It's really cool, actually. Everybody went for the same tree, and 9 out of 10 went for it as well in this entire game. I mean, we have 4 Conquerors on the side of Genji, 3 for T1, and you were talking about brawling. Well, I think that tells the story pretty well, as both of these sides are going to be looking to brawl quite a bit. Again, some first picks, but, LM and Gumayusi didn't play all season, so I suppose LM played a bit, but he did not play the Elise. Faker only 1 game, actually, on the Silas, and that was yesterday, of course.
Well, we'll see how this early game does transpire. So the initial opening here, we know that Clid is just going to clear out his red side jungle. Elise on the flip side doing red into blue right away. And now moving into Gromp. And it looks like Rascal, he is getting shoved in, but this is on wave 2. And so all that Khan is able to do with this is crash wave 2, put down a defensive ward to make sure he doesn't get ganked by the Nidalee, and then he's able to continue exerting pressure against the Renekton. And in doing so, he provides the Elise the ability to not have to run up to top lane to protect him against a Nidalee gank, so no counter ganks are really necessary. 18 CS by BDD. Very, very good CSing.
Yeah, he's having a fun time, and he's slow pushing it into the mid lane. I really did like the set flex into the Sylas. A couple of melee champions, and you know what set can do to those guys, as we can see pretty clearly, even in the early trades.
Yep.
BDD gonna get pretty much every CS there. Misses a couple on that last wave. And now they're looking to actually get on top of Elm here, who is gonna smite that one down. Here comes BDD, but he's got a little plant over there. So very nicely timed by Elm to get in and get out. Gumayusi, don't, yeah, you don't really want to be taking those trades against Ruler. That's not necessarily what we're gonna be looking for from you.
Yeah, and the bot lane right now for Genji definitely getting the better end of everything. Now, Gumayusi needs to get out of this lane sometime within the next 2 waves. And that's really the timing for Ruler and Life to coordinate something with Clid if they're going to go for it. Now, Elim getting the Scuttle Crab on the right-hand side is actually very big, as it slows down Nidalee's tempo, and
Haymaker, and he has to flash. That is not a good look to start off this game. The set is putting down the law in the mid lane and showing Sylas what's up.
I mean, it's a very brutal laning phase, and because it's Sylas Elise, Set's able to get MR in the early stages. There it is. BDD, a bit of a savant, even going to go for the Merc Treads as his first item, most likely. And then Elise and Sylas, good luck, have fun, trying to move Set out of mid lane. I mean, this is a problem. This is why I said it's solo queue, is because it just feels like these champions are here because you want to individually play them, but there's no cohesion. In fact, there's things that just work against them. And this is the natural trajectory of pretty much all of these lanes are truly unfolding right now. Jace is winning against the Renekton, has him shoved in at pretty much all points, a bit of an HP differential. Elise is power farming, and because getting that right side Scuttle Crab actually keeping up with Nidalee a little bit. But mid lane is about to swing really, really hard in BDD's favor.
Yeah, he's going to be like a rock in the mid lane. It's not going to be easy to move him. As you can see, he's actually got a nice little experience lead over Faker. Will be hitting level 6 first. Here comes Elim and Effort. They're going to use the Hawk to get on in there and spot the enemy. But a nice little trap by Clid, but the Cocoon is going to land. The flash forward is not going to do much, though, because Clid will be able to get away.
Oh, BDD has 6!
Looking to wrap around. Life will be forced to flash, though. BDD now in kind of an awkward spot, looking to trade, and down will go Clid, as now BDD is going to go for it, but it's a little bit too late. Flashes backwards, and can he actually get in here with the Conqueror? No, he'll finally go down, as here come the 80 carries, but Ruler now is going to be baited into it. A double kill for LM, and the slows coming out, and another great Cocoon will force the cleanse and the flash out of Ruler, so an aggressive invade from T1 actually does work.
And it ends up working out really, really, really well, because the person that gets all the kills is the Elise, and she's the one that needs it the most in order to remain relevant inside of this game. Another really big trade onto Faker, chunks him a lot of his HP, but the upside is that if Elise can get ahead of Nidalee inside of this game, which those 2 kills are definitely going to help propel her to do so, things can definitely get a little bit spicy. Because if Elise is running around with an entire jungle item over the Nidalee in the early stages of the game, it creates an enormous problem for some of the laners on the side of Genji, because Set can no longer just conduct himself as freely as if the game was completely even all around. And Elim should be able to open things up a lot. I'm looking forward to looking at that replay, because it was looking like it was going to be really doomed for Genji. So we take a look at how this happens. So Clid ends up eating the cocoon first, and you can see BDD, he already used his face breaker. He's a little bit slow to move. Right here, Life and Clid could have both just backed out, and BDD could have gone back to his lane, and everything would have been fine. Life blundering with the chase a little bit too long. Cocoon comes out one more time, locks up Clid, even though he had his flash available. Haymaker repositioned via the flash, but it still wasn't enough, and Genji blunder a lot of the decision making here, and T1 punishes it really well.
Absolutely. Just a little bit too eager to fight in that one. And here we go. Elam is actually going to get surprised. Nice block by the little spider as Elam, he doesn't really have much support. Here come Faker and Kana finally. As Faker is thinking about getting over the wall, but it is a bit of a 3-on-3 effort. Only level 5, not level 6. Trying to engage now is Faker. They know they have their support coming in, as in will go the double ultimate from the set, as BDD getting on in there, trying to chunk down effort. He's incredibly tanky. Is going to pick up the double kill, and this guy just doesn't die, as he will finally be taken out by the spider. As in goes Elam looking to chase down onto Clid, but for now it will just be a 2-for-2. But that Elise is getting really massive at this time.
And remember that during all of this, Elam has Runic Echo upgrade inside of the jungle. So Elam's clear speed is going to be a lot faster than that of Nidalee, and he's already getting back to the farming. Faker up in top lane now, immediately shoving in the minion wave. Jace is going to immediately rotate over into mid. He's going to push that in. Elam now starting up the Rift Herald, thinking that, okay, Nidalee is probably just going to start pathing down into bot side. All the lanes are resetting. It's unlikely that they come over here and try to do anything to stop this, and that would be a very nice Rift Herald sneak, if he can end up getting it. Meanwhile, on the bottom side of the map, Gumayushi is up quite a bit in the CS department as well. And don't forget that he has the call. So that call is actually going to be completed in about 4 waves if he does everything pretty much perfect.
Yeah, we're going to take a look here at the replay. Obviously a lot going on as we had stolen set ultimate into real set ultimate over the wall.
And Rascal couldn't quite get the heal right at the very end. And you can see that Clid very indecisive on what he initially wanted to do. A little bit delayed with the re-engage, but Set getting enormous amounts of value in that fight for his teammates. And we can see here that as the game currently stands, it's a 700 gold lead in favor of T1. Now, their comp needs to be ahead as we transition into mid-game. And I don't feel like this lead is big enough, but it's good that all the gold is on the Elise, because she's still going to be the one that is able to influence a lot. More MR items are going to start coming in, though, as time goes on. We're going to probably have the Athenes come in for Nidalee. You can see Elam down here, trying to give effort and Gumayushi a lot more freedom.
The trading between these two in the mid lane is always pretty fun, because they're both melee, and they like to punch things, so they're both going to go ahead and try to do that. This ward actually will spot both Elam and Faker moving south at the moment, as they're just waiting in the brush, maybe looking to catch Elam. But actually the Goon is going to come down, and they're going to find BDD, but again, it's so difficult to take this guy down. That is a really nice arrow. In comes the Pantheon, and they're trying to take down BDD. Oh, is this guy still alive? As he is going to go for the flash, but finally, over the wall, he will go down, and Life gets baited into it as well. So a pretty clean, just straight up double kill down on the bottom side of the map, set up there by T1.
Yeah, and I mean, at this point, T1, they propel themselves to a 2,000 gold lead. They're going to summon the Rift Herald down here in bottom. They're going to give all the gold over to Gumayushi. Although it looks like they're actually going to split it up amongst their members. Call has also been completed for him as well by now, and they are getting very far ahead. And all of this snowballs off of that one time that Clid and Life, they had the option to back away. Left of the wolf camp, didn't do so. And now the whole game.
That spear.
Snowball. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I think if he hit that spear, that would have been a kill. for Clid. Doesn't actually work out. Big trade happening up on the top side. Rascal is a level up, and that's going to be a spear to the face. See you later, Kana. They will hand that one over to the side of Clid, as it's pretty much just a win in the trade, which is huge for Rascal, as Kana will stay level 9 and lose even more XP with that wave pushing in. So a nice little slap back from Genji.
And, oh, you can see they just barely managed to clip Clid on the vision, and it was a really good fake by Faker to pretend as if he didn't see. Pantheon ultimate comes in, BDD doing his best to survive there. Effort even flashes over the wall, gets the point blank stun, picks up the kill. And that's 2 kills going over to T1. They immediately convert this into the Herald. Meanwhile, up in top lane, slice and dice in. Really big trade by Rascal and Kana. And then you can see up here in Italy. Nice little kill there.
Yeah. And we could have had like a massive chase that maybe eventually gets Rascal the kill, but Nidalee being in position makes that a bit easier, quicker to pick up the kill. And the accelerated shock blast just goes entirely wide, so Rascal able to dodge that one and force the trade. There wasn't really much that Kana could do, but still, I mean, look at the bottom lane, and the gold difference right now is just gigantic when it does come to Ashe and Pantheon in particular. We also do have that nice jungle lead for the side of LM, although the CS is pretty decent for Clid.
Yeah, Clid is still ahead in EXP. He's also hit the level 9 breakpoint, so all of his jungle camps are respawning at a higher level. So he's getting the 35% bonus EXP over LM until LM dings that and gets all his camps respawning at level 9. And so now he finally did catch up, but Clid has been in that for a little while. And so Elise, unsure what LM's gonna go as the next item. You can already see the Merc Treads are coming out on the enemy team. And so I'm curious if LM will still go into Oblivion Orb, or if he'll actually just pick up the Liandry's, given that he is Conqueror. And then it makes the Spiderlings definitely have a much greater chance to poke the opponents.
Well, we'll have to wait and see what he does decide to go for. Obviously has a large amount of gold with his 3-0-4 scoreline. He's been part of every single kill, which is definitely a good look. Faker and Effort, the two closest. They've been a part of 6 of 7 kills, but only LM has gotten every single one. He's also going to go ahead and steal this blue, using that map control that T1 currently have to take some extra. We also have Infernal Drake about to spawn, so he's going to want to just sit here, wait if he can catch someone out, and try to pick up this dragon for his team.
Yeah. Infernal. About to spawn. Oh, Effort.
Oh man, Effort is in the worst spot here. That's going to be a free kill straight up. Nice shock blast, but here comes Genji over the wall. We're going to have the slow onto LM.
Oh, we got the stun!
Gonna miss, but either way, they're trying to get on top of this spider. The flash will come in. That's 600 gold now into the pockets of Nidalee as things are falling apart now for T1. Genji able to take a huge chunk out of them, and they also get this pretty massive Infernal.
And the Infernal Dragon is super big for them at this point. They get the better of the 2 dragons that have spawned. Cloud Dragon is coming up.
Oh boy.
And Elise does end up picking up that Oblivion Orb. So until Renekton and Ezreal start getting MR, that will help her a lot against those 2 in particular. But a Void Staff would have been more beneficial against the Nidalee and the Set. Obviously, Braum is going to be a little bit of a beefy boy as well. So I'm a little bit surprised to see the Oblivion Orb, especially because the game's about to enter into a lull state with the dragon being captured. All things considered, there's the Iceborne Gauntlet, Deadman's Plate already up on the Set, Zanya's Hourglass going to be the next item on the Silas, and Jace is going into lethality with the Mana Mune.
Yeah, looks like he is. There isn't, well, actually, there is a decent amount of armor built. I mean, you can see even Rascal's considering, we'll see if he does go into Ninja Top, but we also have Deadman's Plate on BDD in the mid lane. We have Iceborne Gauntlet completed by Ruler. And so that armor stacking, gonna have a bit of fun there. As we're gonna take a look here once again. Effort just kind of out in the middle of nowhere.
This is the thing that happened in game 1, if you remember, but it was also happening a lot yesterday. Effort's just having a very off series. Well, a couple of series actually now.
Qualifier.
Yeah, a very rough regional.
Yeah.
As
That's
he's
words you don't want to hear.
consistently been the primary criminal at getting caught out or just being a little bit too far forward relative to his teammates.
Yeah. And that is, it's really not what you want to see out of your support, especially Effort. He is on the Pantheon, so he's going to be looking for some of those engages. I understand how he wants to position aggressively to try to appear strong, but you can't go that far forward because you're just going to get shut down. Actually, just loses to his fellow support in life, who slows him and then ults him up. And Effort doesn't even flash out of that one. He's now waiting here in the mid lane, looking to see what he can get going. He's got Gumusi nearby. Manamune very close. Okay, 703 as the arrow is going to go wide. Pretty rough to try to land that one onto an Ezreal. And it is easily dodged by Genji.
Brownie's comment appearing even here in the LCK regional. As they are going to raise the mid-tier 1 turret. Faker does have the Braum ultimate, so they do have to be careful.
That's a really nice chunk. Effort's going in, and he's just going to die? As in goes BDD, now Ellen is on the run, and look at Kumiyusi totally zoned out on the left side, not able to do anything. Kana's all alone, and so is Ellen. This is so broken up, and Genji, it's like chasing down the stragglers that got away from the group, and that's just 3 free kills essentially. As you know, there's no objective for now, but this is immediately getting Genji back into the game.
And Genji, I mean, I feel like they're ahead right now. They're down in gold, but because of the way the comps work, that Infernal Dragon giving over so much in terms of stats. I think Faker's dead, actually. Oh, he's gonna manage to dodge that.
Tries to dodge.
He's still dead.
Yeah.
He's still dead.
Yeah, he's still dead. You can go.
Oh, wait, hold on.
That's cool. Never mind. Okay, he's gonna get turned around. Now Effort is angry after what happened the last 2 couple of kills. Here comes Kana. That teleport out of Genji is so late. I don't think he's going to get there on time. He gets there right after life goes down. BDD trying to go 1v3. He is incredibly strong right now. He's going to get that nuke ascension. Oh! Arrow, though, from Gumi.
Faker!
Take BDD out of the fight, and Faker is getting in there. He's trying to get that damage, and he will be able to take him down. That is an ace to the side of T1 out of nowhere as they turn around the dive in the bottom lane.
Well, he was not dead, Valdez. They were dead. As that series of events, we're going to take a quick cut to a replay from a couple of moments ago. And what a series of events that just unfolded. Feels like he's done this twice now in both of the series. Yesterday on Silas and now here again today. Obviously, this was a very hot mess of situations for T1. And Genji, off of this, they were back in the lead, pretty much. And then down here in bottom lane, it really looked like Faker was going to be dead. I did not consider Pantheon coming in. I should have been looking at the mini-map, so it just looked like they were going to wait for the next stun. They had Braum here, and then they would just end up picking him up shortly thereafter.
Steel tool as well.
But
gets him that health he needs.
Yeah, Effort comes in with the Braum ultimate, or with Pantheon ultimate, locks up the Braum, life ends up going down, BDD here as well, and he's really strong. Ruler able to be here as well, Facebreaker into the Haymaker, cut the replay short.
Go back to the replay. Well, we got the one-on-one here as Faker is trying to win this one.
He wins.
Gonna get that nice. Zonya's down, and Rascal is like, well, I'm out of here.
Oh, Sir
He
Grompulus!
actually makes it away. Sir Grompulus gonna be thankfully stopped by Faker, but here comes Effort. He is so unbelievably fast and should be able to get this kill. We'll see if he tries to give it over. Well, no. Just a spear to the face. That works too. As this Cloud Drake will be going down, but it's just a consolation prize for Genji, who have been getting ravaged all around the map as T1 make a statement and come back in this game.
Gumiyushi now on the Ashe. We'll see what he can do with the ultimate.
Shock Blast will miss.
They know about effort. Yeah, they know about effort. And it looks like they don't want to do the smite fight.
TP's coming in. Will they try to get onto Faker here? Faker's gonna steal the ultimate. Get on in there, but
Oh,
he gets
no.
immediately
Oh,
shut down.
no.
And it goes beat. It is a massacre against T1. A triple kill now for Ruler. And you know he's going for that penta. Gets the quadra. And Effort is just all alone. He's incredibly fast, but it doesn't matter. That was really cute. That was really, really cute. Let's see if they give this over. Nope, the Q is going to miss. And this is not about getting pentakills. It's about winning and going to war. So they're not going to play around with that. They will get the kill, and they're going to get the Baron as well. What a massive turnaround for Gen G now.
Valdez, honestly, I think most viewers' hearts probably can't take the series. Oh man.
Already.
I do not know what is going on. Faker comes in, and after being the 1v9 hero at so many different points inside of this game, all of a sudden everything just falls apart on that teleport. And now they're gonna lose the Baron. They were already down in levels, and now it's just gonna be that much worse. It's an ace going over to Gen G. 4 kills onto the Ezreal, who we mentioned very early on is the most problematic champion for them. It's looking really doom and gloom. It is a 1,500 gold lead now for Gen G. They have the Infernal Dragon. Ezreal is at 3 items, finally picks up the Death Stance. Things are looking pretty grim.
Yeah, it's, I can't believe we've had another turnaround. I mean, the first 2 games have been really all over the place. You could even call it sloppy. And it's crazy. I mean, Gen G, they were able to at least wrest control back into their hands, and it was looking like T1 had done that after some nice turnaround plays from them, but immediately it goes back to the side of Gen G now, who are pushing with this Baron. You can see the gold difference has finally gone in their favor. And they're just looking to push and get as much value as possible. Really nice stand behind me from Light. He's going to get knocked up, but he is a huge tank for this team. True Shot Barrage goes entirely wide. Everybody incredibly slow. As in goes Effort. He's got a shield, but he has to flash away. That's not what you want to see. It's going to be another summoner down. As everything pretty much lost there for T1. As the push will continue here for Gen G.
And it does look like Gen G now, they're gonna raise the mid tier 2 Oh, okay. Ezreal.
This is why Ruler plays Ezreal. The guy is insane. And he was on the LCK All-Pro team, you know, the #1 team, selected by all of us for a reason. The guy is absolutely currently the best AD carry in the LCK. And he's showing it off a bit here on the Ezreal. Gen G with a very strong push in mid. They're looking to try to push this to 2-0. We'll see if they can do it.
Well, they are up 2,500 still at this point in the game. And in terms of base levels, 2-level gap inside of the jungle. Everyone else is actually pretty, oh no, 2-level gap jungle, 2-level gap top. And that is honestly a bit of a problem. Top tier 2 turret's gonna get raised here, Valdez. Now they're gonna reset. They're all stockpiling so much gold. Question for me, what is Ezreal's 4th item? Moment of truth. Oh, okay, all right, QSS, all right. Going for the utility, acknowledging that it is highly unlikely that T1 can win unless they can bring him down in a fight. And so the QSS providing even more MR against the Elise and the Sylas, less opportunity to stun him up with either an Enchanted Crystal Arrow or an Elise Cocoon, is definitely erring on the side of caution. And Gen G are just, they're running away with this series. And honestly, Valdez, I mean, this game was going so well. Elise got very fortunate that Life and Clid made the decision that they did to continue the fight at Wolves. And off of that, propelled herself into a ridiculous position inside of the game, and then still the game just kept ebbing and flowing back and forth. Faker with a hero play onto bottom, put T1 back in a very comfortable position, but they just consistently keep fumbling the ball over and over, and it feels really rough. Gen G, though, they've been much more stable, except for that one blunder down in bot lane.
Yeah, and I mean, you know, we were forgetting about the Pantheon. It felt like Genji were forgetting about the Pantheon, and Faker had some really highlight moves, obviously. So it was a good play by the side of T1, but you can't really, you know, blame Genji for just the one mistake. Their ability to come back in this game has been pretty nice to watch, as you can see they're continuing to push here. Not really going to be wasting any time, and unfortunately, you mentioned the Elise got ahead early, but after that, not really able to do much except just be a cocoon bot at this point in time. And you can see Ruler, he's got Cleanse and QSS, doesn't even need to use it on the Ash Arrow that just gets thrown out kind of desperately from the side of Gumayushi. Oh, this is just gross. Oh, man! Yeah, okay, Kana. That's 100 to, you know, 5, essentially, in just one little swing. Meet Ruler. Yeah, you get it?
Ooh. Well,
Didn't see
yeah,
they saw
yeah.
that coming.
Well, this is the one chance T1 would probably ever have, is if Genji overextend here and really botch it. You can see their HP values going really low. Now, they do have a non-active healer in the Nidalee. Gonna be able to heal a lot of the teammates up and allow the siege to continue.
Yeah, just wait for the Morelos to pop off, and then they throw it out.
Ooh, really nice shock blast.
Nice.
This is it.
Okay.
This is probably the closest T1 will get, is this fight, and it seems like they're aware they were trying to go for it, but in the end, going to get repelled, and Genji, again, erring on the side of caution, saying, you know what, let's not push this too hard. Baron's coming up. If we get aced here or lose the Baron, they could throw the game back.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, we've seen this series on a knife's edge all night, and no doubts that one bad maneuver could get you into a really rough spot. So, Genji just going to take it easy. Don't really have to do much. I'm going to poke out Gumayushi a little bit, but looking to set up vision around the Baron at this point in time, just to be the next big objective. And Ruler is just such a monster in this game. I'm not really sure if T1 are going to have what it takes to take you down, especially with double cleanse, like we talked about, and a really thick front line. I mean, Rascal on the Renekton, always going to be pretty tanky, even though, you know, he didn't actually build tank, but BDD going for the tank set, and of course Braum with the big shield. It's going to make Ruler's job that much easier.
T1, they're basically stuck between a rock and a hard place. They know they can't really push out on the map right now or do anything. And so it's all just about Genji and what options they want to take inside of this game. Now, fortunately for them, Genji do not seem to be going for any sort of a Baron dance right now. And I'm unsure why, because they have all their core items completed, so this has actually only benefited T1. If you look at the items in the inventory, this is actually a pretty close point in the game in terms of completions, and also level disparity. Top lane is back to being pretty close. I believe Kana is actually about to ding 16. Faker's 16 to BDD's 15. The real difference is obviously in the jungle. 3.5 level gap. And if Baron gets taken, I mean, we could see 4 levels.
Yeah, it's pretty massive, as, yeah, that's a nice little chunk of damage. And this TP, very, very early. Faker gonna have to Zonya's right after the start. And just and now 3 of them! This is going to be a massacre. LM on the run here. Man, you could see Effort desperately trying to get onto Ruler, but he just lets him die to the Baron. He doesn't even attack him. As Kana now on the run. They're going to stop his back and look to push into the top lane and take this game.
Yeah, and you can see LM, I mean, he's trying to recall. He's the only one, though. Teleport coming in now. And they're not even recalling for elixirs or anything. They probably just know that there's too much of a death timer, and it's an Elise that's defending the remaining Nexus turrets. They do not have a way from mid, but it's not going to matter. This is going to be Genji going up 2-0 against T1. And the question on a lot of people's minds is, are we going to have subs now come out in the final match point game? Because things are looking real grim.
I would imagine so. I think if we could give them advice, I would say probably you would want to swap some players out. after that one. Genji looking quite strong. T1 had the lead with some great maneuvers and some really nice mechanical plays. And then Genji just were able to come over the top and shut them down. That one fight around the Baron where Faker gets clawed out and BDD just slaps him down and his ultimates into the backline of 3 members was a huge turnaround. And BDD had a really fantastic game. It's good to see that his game is on when they need it most, as the Gauntlet Kings are looking primed to take this series. They still got to win one more.
Yeah.
But the 2-0 lead is quite convincing.
I mean, the manner in which they're winning also is very fortunate. The one time that T1 looked like they were in a commanding position this game came at the luxury of Life and Clid not electing to just back off. If that doesn't happen, the game will continue as normal. BDD is winning his lane phase. The jungle is just going to get worse and worse because Elise needs to get ahead. It's just one of the problems that she suffers from. Otherwise, she can't convert well. And BDD is on. We saw that in the laning phase. He was decimating the trades, hard winning the CS matchup against Faker as well. I mean, everything is just looking so much more crisp.
Yeah, it does feel like they are the better team on the day, but again, they need one more win. It's not over yet. This is why we play best of 5s.
This is it. I mean, you take a look at the left-hand side. BDD has level 6, but Clid and Life, they could just back off. And if this happens, and the game continues as normal, Elm's in a really rough spot. And Faker's going to continue to be in a rough spot because he's getting pulled away from stuff. He's already in a bad spot inside of the lane. But Genji tries to handshake the fight. And Ruler, he comes over. Gumiyashi's here as well, flashes over the wall. Ash Volley, double kill onto the most important player to actually get the kills in the early stages of the game, which is Elm, so that he can retain his advantage over Nidalee. This was a really good fake by Faker. I said it in the game. He just barely managed to see Clid out of the corner of his eye with the vision, and so Genji probably thought that T1 had not seen them because of the way that Faker continued moving. But in fact, they had been seen. Cocoon ends up lands. T1 gets a couple of kills underneath their belt. Effort, he's been having a really off week. Obviously, in this highlight, getting caught out once again. Remember, Nautilus from the game before, yesterday. Several points. I remember the Bard in front of the mid-tier 1 turret is another highlight that ends up standing out to me. This was Faker's hurrah, basically. Pantheon coming in. I know you and I mistakenly just thought that he was dead. Gets the kill onto the Renekton, and they start turning everything around.
Yeah, Faker's Silas does look really on point the last couple of days. As you can see, he's able to outplay this very well. Gets in, gets the kill onto Ruler. Definitely against what we were expecting. But this is the big one for T1, where it's like, okay, great, now they're back in the game. And then this happens. Faker, with the unfortunate teleport, gets a great ultimate, and then gets smacked down, and is the amazing vehicle for BDD to immediately get onto that squishy backline. And all the kills went over to the Ezreal at the same time. Quadra kill, plus the one going to the Renekton. And after this, it was really looking like lights out for Genji.
Yeah, I mean, Genji are just really showing up in Genji fashion here today. They don't quite dominate and take over the games like we saw against DRX, but if you remember the context under which they lost to DRX as well, that game number 5, they had Ocean Soul, they had Baron in their hands, and then they got aced, and just the death timers were too long. They ended up losing. But Genji, very, very scary. And the way the series is going, you have to wonder, what is T1 thinking now? Because it's looking like it's all over, Valdez.
It does feel that way, to be perfectly honest. It does feel like Genji are having the stronger best of 5 right now. And we were wondering, you know, who's going to have the stronger buff? Is it going to be the Gauntlet buff to Genji, or is it going to be the best of 5 buff to T1? And so far, looks like that Gauntlet buff is pretty strong. Genji are looking like an incredibly difficult team for T1 to crack. So, guys, we are going to take another quick commercial break. When we come back, we're going to have game number 3, which could possibly be the decider that sends Genji to Worlds. So, we'll be extremely hyped to see if T1 can try to come back or are we just going to have Gen G getting the clean sweep? We'll find out after the break.
사실 팀을 구성을 하긴 했는데 그동안 좀 뭐 얘기를 하고 그랬던 것도 딱히 없는 것 같아서 라인을 먼저 밀면은
다 좋아, 다 좋아.
그대로 들어가, 그대로 들어가.
애기 고양이였네.
아니야 얘 여기 있어 해가지고
내 잘못이네. 싹 올 준비해가지고 여기까지 밀고
왜 일이 없다고 생각하는지 여기 일이 보일 텐데. 근데 이렇게 텔타면 안 돼. 너 죽어야 돼.
오늘은요, 그 어느 때보다도 이제 불꽃 튀는 롤더 넥스트 사상 가장 치열한 날이 되지 않을까 싶습니다.
결승전을 향하는 마지막 관문 세미파이널이 이제 펼쳐집니다.
해주면 돼 오리 하나랑.
아, 이 정글이 너무 애매하다.
아이 각도가.
그러니까 각도가 왜 오늘도 티어치전이냐?
최종 파이널리스트를 지금부터 공개할 텐데요. 멘토분들의 표정이 좀 더 어두워지고 좀 미안한 표정을 짓고 이렇거든요.
저희는
최종의 10명을 지금부터 호명하도록 하겠습니다.
Coming at you live, real, real wild. Here to light it up, set the world on fire. Gonna break rules and hearts in twos, 'cause that's what the baddest do. Never going back, nah, nah, that. Diamonds on drip, 'cause I came to make a splash. Gonna break rules and hearts in twos, 'cause that's what the baddest do.
I'll melt your face off, disappear. I'm your eraser. Aim the cut just like a razor. Murder in this world, my blazer. I got all the boys on me. I got all the lines on ring. Knocking dead, turning heads. I got all the eyes on me. Lady face, 걸어 들어와. 유행 선두자. 원하지만 못하잖아. 애가 타잖아. You like whoa, 갈리 유도 go. 난 알지, I know. 준비해, cause I like the ball. 멈추지 않아. 나는 내 그게 like a bag. 그거 말고 bye. 믿어봐, 그만큼 크게. 어깨 펴고 high. 100% 덤비지 못해. 죽여주잖아. 나는 boss. 간지 with the sauce. 원하면 줄게.
I'm doing damage when just how I planned it. I do what I want when I say. 모든 날 따라해 난 끝내주잖아. To live on the edge of insane. Coming at you live, real, real wild. Here to light it up, set the world on fire. Gonna break rules and hearts in twos, 'cause that's what the baddest do. Never going back, nah, nah, that. Diamonds on drip, 'cause I came to make a splash. Gonna break rules and hearts in twos, 'cause that's what the baddest do. It's crazy. Sorry for the bad news, sorry I'm so bad. Only took a minute for me to get what you had. Sorry for the bad news, no it makes you sad. There for a minute, baby, you should pack your bags. Way that I look should be breaking the law. If I don't got it, I take what I want. My circle small like a round of applause. You know that I love the sound of applause. You know I mean everything that I say. When you see me come and get out of the way. Back in the sleigh, back and I'm better and ready to stay. I'm doing damage when just how I planned it. I do what I want when I say. 모든 날 따라해 난 끝내주잖아. To live on the edge of insane. It's crazy.
Sorry, not sorry for being the best. 언제든지 내가 좀 해. Look at the gold, all on my chest. Look at the gold, call it a flex.
This is what League of Legends looks like! That's a big stun. That's a big engage. Oh, 80 minutes on the clock. 80 minutes to dream. Gonna be stunned up. Flash, and there's your first blood. Good lord, man. The dream is alive and well. The crowd erupts.
Welcome back, guys. We are here at the LCK Regional Qualifiers for the 2020 World Championship for League of Legends. Currently, Gen G are smacking down T1. It is a 2-0 lead so far. And Gen G have just been the cleaner team tonight, and they have really racked up the kills so far. They're one game away from making it into Worlds, and T1 are one game away from dropping out. So they're going to have to pull off the reverse sweep if there is any hope of them making it into Worlds. We'll see who does come out ahead. How are you feeling about this one so far, LA?
I'm feeling pretty bad, Valdez. No one really enjoys 3-0s. Not the viewers, nor the casters, nor the players. Well, unless you're on the winning team, then I think then
yeah,
you probably do.
Some people enjoy it.
You probably do enjoy the 3-0. But the manner in which these games are being lost, I just tweeted between the break. T1 are disadvantaged before the game even starts, but even when they do start getting some advantages inside of the games, they are constantly blundering it a lot more than Gen G are. And so Gen G are just looking all around more crisp, more well-rounded, and everything just seems a lot more stable for them, and it looks like we're getting no substitutions. I don't even know if any of the subs are there today, by the way. There doesn't seem like there's a lot more desks that maybe would have been available or anything, but we're going to start the game off with a Volibear ban. Followed by... Oh, what? Ah, shit.
By the way. Well, there's still a chance. You still might get your Volibear, but so far it's, again, no Ashe, no Lucian, no Caitlyn, and Kalista is going to be banned off here. TF. And will they take out Volibear, or will they ban Ezreal again? Because Ruler's Ezreal was looking, in fact, pretty strong. No, it's going to be the Azir, actually.
Well, it's going to be... B1 Volibear, see?
Yeah.
I had it.
You were just really far ahead.
I was just really far ahead, yeah, actually. Leak script. Ooh, Lilia and Renekton insta-snapped by T1, and we'll see what they can manage to do with it. Lilia is probably a champion that can help shore up some of the problems that they're having, because she forces the team to play in a different way, which is in a weird way, something they need right now. Middle being covered, this would guarantee that Volibear is going to go top lane against Renekton, and that's a winning matchup, and we saw that Rascal was decimating it in game number 1. Kana, really close calls on barely managing to get away, and Set, yet again, it just feels like Gen G are smacking them with the same exact thing over and over, and T1 don't know how to draft to punish it.
Yeah, it's almost like they're saving their other strategies for Worlds. It's like, yeah, we don't want to show anything here, so we're just going to use this comp. It keeps working, so no reason to swap it up. And there's Orianna. It's going to be the response. Faker is going to play a third unique champion in this series.
There's anti-synergy already with the champions. Lilia doesn't like Orianna being on her team, and then Orianna doesn't like Lilia as a jungler. So things are already very strange. Renekton is trying to do different things than Orianna and Lilia. Now you can obviously make the argument that Renekton and Orianna have synergy because you can put the ball in Renekton, he can go in, and he can try to make something happen. You can argue that Lilia tries to follow that up. The problem is, the thing that Orianna is weak to is the same thing that Renekton and Lilia are weak to. And so doubling down on that when Gen G can just respond to it becomes very worrisome. And now we see a Senna ban away, which is interesting because we talked about how Senna in game number 1 could have been used to amplify the engage and dive that T1 could have been going for, but maybe they're going to go for an Ezreal.
Kai'Sa ban. We did see Ruler playing Kai'Sa, and, you know, I suppose with a lot of the CC on the side of Gen G, you can just try to jump on in there with the Volibear in the set, alongside Nidalee. And what is going to be the final ban here? They targeted Effort's Pantheon, which was quite interesting. They didn't like the global effect, I suppose, of the ultimate. And it will be Karma that gets taken off the board.
It's probably, yeah, Ezreal R4. We saw this coming with the Senna ban, and then obviously the Kai'Sa, I think, almost confirms it. Now, this is where things get interesting, because what marksman is Gen G going to try to take? Now, if they lock in Aphelios, this is good news for T1. They have Orianna, they have Lilia, they have late game Ezreal that can be very good against him, but instead Echo. Ooh.
Tristana.
A long-range mage like Jinx, or long-range marksman like Jinx or Tristana, obviously in late game, is very valuable here, especially because you can R the Orianna target away from your teammates. That's a little bit more of an upside.
Aphelios, though. And they will lock it in, so this time around, Ruler says, let me show you a thing or two about the Aphelios. We'll see how this works in the composition, as Alistar is going to be the choice here for Effort.
In a pretty odd turn of events, I feel like T1 actually have the better edge in this draft, and it came when their last picks were face up. I feel like going into the last 2 picks for both sides, Gen G had a lot better options available to them to continue to layer T1 inside of the draft phase. But R4 Ezreal comes in, Aphelios is walking into Orianna, Lilia, and Ezreal. That's going to be very hard for him to conduct himself. And Echo now trying to run into the opponents when they were trying to run into you is also a little bit bizarre. And the Alistar comes in as a vacuum answer to the set, but also a lot of good setup for his teammates, a lot of good synergy with the Orianna, a lot of follow-up with the Renekton, and a pretty good body blocker for those primary 3 that T1 need to protect. I think this is the first time, Beldes, T1 walks away from the draft with probably a lot more options than Gen G.
Well, sometimes you roll the dice and it goes straight to the number 6, or at least you roll a 4 over a 2 or something like that. Either way, these are going to be the pick bans for game number 3. And LS has already told us that it seems like this might be the best chance for T1 to try to come back in the series. We've seen reverse sweeps happen before. It's not very common though, but we'll start with one. We'll see what they can do. They can actually put up a good fight up against Gen G, who have been in total control of this series. As here we go, back onto the Rift. And I find it funny too that BDD hops back onto the Echo that Faker was playing earlier on in the series up against BDD. So maybe trying to show him a thing or two about the Echo.
Well, BDD has probably the most iconic play in 2020 from LCK, if you remember the 5-man Echo stun.
The guy is, he's a pretty good player.
Yeah,
Yeah.
pretty good, indeed.
Yeah. I mean, you know, we could probably take one game from him out of 100. But, yeah, the guy is insane. And I'm really curious to see what he is going to do on the Echo this time around. Definitely a lot of moving pieces on the side of T1, so it'll be hard for them to group up as 5, I would imagine, and get hit by that. But we'll see.
And Ruler coming in here, looking maybe to scout out the area, place a ward. Okay, he is going to place it. And Clid gonna do a solo start in his red side jungle, Lilia. Gonna be on the other side. As Elam is going to clear the Raptor camp very quickly as Lilia. Not a big deal. Move into red immediately. And Nidalee, Clid's actually just going to start the red right away. So they have the ward on the left-hand side. They know that Lilia's not immediately advancing in to the blue side jungle. So things are pretty fine for them right now.
Yeah, for sure. You can see here, there's one of these numbers on the bottom that really stands out. It's the 0-3 Aphelios from Ruler. He was definitely one of the 80 carries that didn't play much Aphelios, even when he was really strong, and also didn't have much success when he did play the champion. So it almost feels like a little bit of a challenge, you know? It's an awkward composition for the Aphelios to handle, plus he's not had very great results on it, so Ruler coming out here and challenging himself in game number 3, when there were definitely some other choices that may have worked better. Kind of just going to eat that. Doesn't seem too concerned.
Saving his shield breaker for the Volibear E. Ends up just going through all of that. Now, Ruler and Life, they're going to come over here. They're going to help Clid steal away the blue, and this is actually very big. This is going to stun Elam. A very great deal. Normally this doesn't happen in this matchup, and it looks like they're actually going to push on. Oh, man.
Maybe steal. Oh, okay, it's going to hit Elam, but not a huge steal. Clid now could get in there and steal the Gromp, but it doesn't look like he wants to with all of that pressure that they had going. Rascal looks like he's pushing really hard, just wants to get out of this lane as Kana was handling it. Up comes Elam. They know that Elam is not on the bottom side of his jungle, so got to play it a little bit safer up there.
And Elam looking for maybe a gank of some sorts. He's going to be able to get a lot of damage onto Rascal. There's a lot of MS. Wait, what? What?
Rascal, I'm gonna need you to hand in your Volibear card now. Nice amount of damage onto Ruler here, who is just being owned in the 2v2. Gen G now are getting smacked down by T1. We got the double teleport coming on in. We're gonna get on top of Gumayusi, but Life incredibly low will actually survive. Oh, as King Kong, we're back at it again. Effort going to bop Rascal towards his team. Flashes on in. Not sure that they have the damage, as the stun will come in, and actually now Kana is going to be the one that eats the death.
Okay, it's not over yet.
Faker going to get in
here. No!
Shield, and
yes!
Does he have the damage? Finally is going to get it. Okay. Has to flash over the wall. That's double summoner to get on in there and get the kill, as BDD is just sitting in the middle.
And Elam, meanwhile, up in top lane. I mean, he's going to push in the wave. And he should be able to get this crash into the turret. And so that's a lot of lane XP that he's going to be able to pick up for himself. It's going to help him remain relevant. But a little bit of a fiesta unfolding down, obviously, in the bottom side. The wave does not crash.
Ooh.
Oh, my.
LS's worst nightmare. This is perfect, actually, for Rascal. He's going to get up there right on time. And do we I didn't want to watch this again, actually.
Yeah, I don't understand why he didn't flash the enhanced damage on the W and then just make it out. Face breaker there into the Alistar combo. Gumayushi goes forward, gets the kill onto Ruler. And then I thought at this point they would start kiting towards the right, especially into Kana, but he kites down towards the south. Now, Life actually spaces very far away, not wanting to get recomboed by effort, but he eventually gets there. Does the face breaker onto Kana. Lightning Storm comes down. Faker comes in with the teleport. It almost looked like they were actually just gonna kill Faker as well, but not quite enough damage on set to make that happen. Clid now wants to start up the Infernal Dragon.
And looks like he should be able to get this pretty easily. They have a nice push going down in the bottom side. Lilia's nowhere near that dragon, so it's just gonna go over the way of Genji, and of course Infernal would be really nice to pick up as a singular Drake. Obviously a nice amount of damage in their composition to be enhanced. And Rascal, with the 2 kills that he did pick up, he goes back and gets the Ramble Vest and is having a pretty fun time up against the Renekton now.
And everything is still somewhat stable, pretty much, inside of this game, even though Genji are certainly ahead with how everything does stand. Bit of a CS lead in mid lane, as well as a big EXP lead because of what Orianna did. She recalled down into bottom. She did get a kill, but BDD was able to stay in mid and get all those minions. And Clid now, he is down in EXP. Almost does have the jungle item complete. Top lane is just going to get worse and worse between these two. Volibear is going to get definitely a little bit stronger as things go on. BDD is... I mean, look at the...
Oh, boy.
No, he could freeze here if he wanted. Orianna doesn't have teleport. He could just freeze and then reset on the next minion wave and leave it frozen and then come back to it. And Orianna would be in a very doomed spot because you can see the vision on left side river and even right side river. It would be very hard for Faker to break that, and now even his ultimate's on cooldown, so he has even less insurance. But BDD shoves it out immediately, not electing to want to go for a recall, and so this is actually going to give Faker a little bit of control in the lane as he comes back, because BDD does not have teleport available.
Yeah.
Rift Herald.
Rift Herald's pretty easy take here for Clid. Faker just now getting back to the lane, and that will go their way. So both first big objectives going into the hands of Genji. The Infernal Drake and the first Rift Herald. Definitely really nice stuff. LM, he's a little bit angry. Someone angered Bambi. Rascal taking an aggressive trade now up in the top side. Thinking about going in on this one, but not quite gonna go for it. Looks like Clid once again getting pretty aggressive in the enemy jungle. They're able to steal the red a little bit earlier on. And is just getting in there and warding things out.
And Kana in a bit of a dangerous position. You can see all the members coming up. He has Dominus available. He's going to pop it early.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Clear the wave. See what he can do. Not really going to have a good time. It actually gets over there. But I think the damage is just too much, and Rascal is quite a beefy boy even already. That is going to be the 3-on-1. Not fair, they were bullying him, but either way, they do pick up the kill up in the top side. Faker, meanwhile, gonna do kind of what BDD did the last time around, and Faker roamed bottom side and looked to get some of these plates.
You gotta give it to Kana, though. He managed to CS the entire wave, and so you can see this actually hurts Rascal in a bit, because he's not able to get any turret plates. Had Kana just died and all of the wave was there, Rascal would have gotten 2 turret plates. That would have been 320 extra gold in his pocket on the recall. And I have to wonder if that would mean something like coming back lane with Sheen and Phage, rather than just a Ruby Crystal due to inventory space.
Oh, effort on the roam, the flash away. This is 3-on-1, this time onto BDD. Tries to get over to the Nidalee. but not quite able to get in range for the heal. So down he goes. Nice little collapse from T1 to actually strike back and pick up a kill onto BDD. As the trading continues up in the top side, Rascal, he had a fun time of it in game number 1. He's gonna have a fun time of it in game number 2, or game number 3, I suppose this one is. But the second game he goes into this matchup, especially as he got an even better start this time, dodges the bowling ball, and they'll just say, okay, you got away this time. But Lilia, quite strong herself, has a couple of kills already, so LM looking to try to carry this time around.
And this is the closest I feel like the game has, or the series has been in an individual game at any point. You can see Orianna is getting very big inside of this game. The Renekton is very far behind, but that doesn't really matter. He's Renekton. All that he is a ball service, pretty much, regardless. He's just there to serve the ball.
Yes, indeed. Of course.
Or the balls, if Lilia's ball matters.
Exactly. True. Well put. And, yeah, I mean, he's pretty far behind, so you're not really going to expect too much else from the Renekton. Just try to survive and essentially just play the weak side and let the rest of your team try to do the carrying. You've got Faker and LM pretty far ahead, so perhaps this will be their game to go ahead and do that. Rascal, though, still very scary up here on the top side. By the way, we know it's not going to be a Cloud Soul this time.
Yep.
So it'll be interesting to see if it does go to Ocean or Mountain. Feels like those could be very game-changing. We will have a lot of action around those streaks.
And Rift Herald is summoned here in mid. We're going to give the gold over. And this is going to put them at a 1,000 gold advantage. We have Proto Belt first item for BDD. He's endlessly shoving the wave in over and over. Meanwhile, up in top lane, I mean, Renekton's doing a pretty good job. He's currently taking the Krug camp to try to help out his jungler as well as himself. Here we go.
Look at this collapse from T1. They're going to get on top of Ruler really easily. It's 1 teleport to 2 as well. Gen G need to get out of here. It looks like they should effectively be able to. The ultimate will be denied by Rascal, who hops out of there. Now, decent amount of damage was done to T1, but it's still 5v4. Gen G, though, not willing to just run away from this one. BDD is going to be spotted.
And that's Cloud Drake. That attacks very fast and shreds the HP down.
Absolutely. Nice amount of poke is coming out. They're trying to get onto that back line with the stun. It does go down onto Kana, but the Cloud Drake will go the way of Gen G, actually, as BDD being chased down here. And he will eventually be taken out. Not much help for him to receive, but the Cloud Drake is stacked up here on the side of Gen G. The 1-for-2, the 2-for-1, I should say, in favor of T1 after all that.
And through it all, T1, they're only down now 200 gold. Lilia is also massive with 3 kills in this game right now. We take a look at how this all transpires. So LM comes out of the brush, really surprises Ruler. He's not able to do anything, and Aphelios is a very important piece to their puzzle. Rascal, it almost looks like it's just flatulence there as he ulties as Orianna's shockwave goes off. Like the sheer force given by Volibear.
The shockwave.
Here, LM does lose the fight to Clid. BDD goes off with the Echo ultimate, but not able to really get to any safety, and so the game, I mean, it's still very, very even between the two.
Absolutely. It was the Drake to Gen G, but it's just one singular Cloud Drake. Gives them a little leg up if they're trying to stack this this soul very fast. But certainly a lot of the members of T1 are getting nicely fed. They're having a good feast, a good dinner. Now at around 7:30 here in Korea. And, I mean, they've got the Ezreal, who's nearing his 2 items, and is 2-1. We've got Faker, already with Seraphs on the way, 1-0-3 as well. That's not what we're looking for. This one, we can't even blame on just clearing the wave. Just going for that one, trying to poke him out, and will miss.
And ends up missing there. A little bit unfortunate, not the end of the world though. 600, 700 gold lead still for Genji, but remember they have the Infernal Dragon. And so there's a little bit of amplification being given over there. 2.5 minutes until that Mountain Dragon comes up. That's a very important dragon. The thing I'm worried about at that Drake is, if you look at the timing relative to Gumayushi, I don't believe he'll have Miramana available, and that is a very big item spike timing. Now, they do know that Clit is down here.
Well, we got 4 members of T1 hanging around, but they're just going to take down the turret and go ahead and back away. Faker actually missing some of the wave in the mid lane at the meanwhile as TP coming in. Genji looking to collapse, but not going to be the easiest play in the world. Over goes the set. They just want to get on top of Gumayushi, and they will do exactly that. The kill also, importantly, into the hands of BDD's Echo.
Yeah.
So nice little play there, using the teleport to pick up the kill.
They use that to get the kill. They offset the reset on Gumayushi, and he's actually going Trinity Force for this game. Faker lands an ultimate onto Rascal.
Spotted. Yeah, Rascal does have his teammates coming up here, though, so you can see T1 just trading a bit and then running away. Not going to overstay their welcome. And Faker, you know, say what you will about some of his ultimates. Is doing a really fantastic job of farming. 170. He's got the highest in the game. And is going to pick up a needlessly large rod already. So just stacking up as much AP as humanly possible.
This is going to be a very interesting situation here, as Genji should be in a very commanding position to get this Mountain Dragon in just a minute. Ruler should be able to have... Oh, wow. Gumayushi does have Miramana. Completed at 17 minutes, so he managed to pass the Ezreal minigame. But because he's going for that Trinity Force, he's not going to have the 2-item spike that would have been so oppressive, especially because of Iceborne Gauntlet. In a early game fight, the armor value as well as the extra mana converts to more AD when you have Miramana in your pocket as well. Seraph's Embrace already completed there on Faker. 30 seconds until this dragon, Eye Edge, has been finished. Mikhail's on Nidalee as the first item. It's actually not going to be the Athene's. Huh. And so, very, very supportive Nidalee build here.
Yeah, and I'm looking at the enemy team. I think it's really mostly for Lilting Lullaby. Obviously, Renekton can get in there too.
Oh!
And by the way, not having a fun time. Is looking to get solo down. The flash comes out. Rascal's still going to get in there and pick up the solo kill under the turret as everything's happening over here. BDD is trying to get in through the backside. Ruler gets a massive ultimate, and they have so much damage. They take down Gumayushi as the flash forward. That was a little bit confusing. Ruler thinking they were closer than they actually were, but they're able to push them away. And this is going to give the Mountain Drake and put them on Mountain Soul points after that play.
And it does look like the Genji, they're going to pick up the Mountain Drake. And look at the amount of MR on Clid that's about to get amplified. He's at 108 already. This is massive against Orianna, Alistar, Lilia, even Ezreal to a certain extent. Because Athene's is still going to be picked up. Let's take a look at this solo kill here. As Rascal, he is up so much over Kana. He turns off the turret. Even the minions were getting in on this a little bit. Ends up having to flash at the very end, but still gets him. Watch Life's engage here for some effort again, man. Doing it, starts the fight onto Life. It is, I don't know. I have nothing nice to say about it. And T1, they're forced to just eventually disengage. Like you were saying, Ruler thinking that he was a little bit closer than he was and that T1 was closer. And Genji, this game is so in their favor right now. 2,500 gold lead. Earth, Wind, and Fire currently as the Dragons. Mountain Soul is just 4 minutes away. And when they get that, Lilia, Renekton, they're basically being invalidated. There's no pen on Orianna. She's not going to get pen for a while. She's going for the Spellbinder as the second item. This is really problematic for T1.
Yeah, it's a massive problem, and it's not one that's going to solve itself anytime soon, as you were just mentioning. And I think probably Gumayusi is going to have to step it up here. It's asking a lot of a rookie player. And I was actually surprised that Teddy didn't come in for Game 3. We were talking about how we were expecting subs, or we thought it would be a good idea from the side of T1, but it's been the same comp, the same 5 players, all 3 games, no changes. And we'll see if it works out for them, because definitely under a lot of pressure here in Game 3 once again. Light gonna X-Flash over the wall, look for a potential play. And, well, not able to get too much. Looks like Gumayusi is, he's, you know, pretty concerned about that brush, so not gonna get caught out there.
2.5 minutes until that mountain comes up. It looks like Zanya's Hourglass might be the next item actually by Clit, not the Athene. So not doubling down on the superior healing in utility. We're gonna get the Zanyas. And that is gonna mean that 12% amp to armor and MR is gonna be quite nice, even for that little bit of armor that Zanya's Hourglass does give, but the utility is gonna be very oppressive. When this turret falls, we are nearing a 4,000 gold lead approach by Genji. Lich Bane almost completed on the Echo. Runon's already available for Ruler. Things are looking pretty grim. We got Black Cleaver coming in on Kana for the majority magic damage team comp. But there's not much to talk about right now. We're in a lull state. All the jungle camps are down. There's no objective up. So of course, obviously, we're just looking what item spikes are coming in next. Where are people going with items? Seems like Faker actually not going to go with Spellbinder. So interestingly enough, he's going to pivot into Rabadon's Death Cap and try to maybe complete that before this Mountain Soul fight. And that'll give over a lot more of EHP anytime that he shields an ally.
Definitely the fun part about going the AP stacking build with the Seraph's Embrace into the Rabadons. As you're mentioning, the shields get pretty massive. But the one thing you're missing is Pen. Even has Merc Treads, so all of that stacking with the potential double Mountain Drake is just going to be so difficult for him to chew through. And we'll see what he can do. Even the QSS picked up now by Ruler, so he's got a bit of MR on top of it, as well as abilities to get away from a lot of different things. He's essentially got double cleanse because of the Nidalee Mikhails on top of that. So very well prepared for this fight that is about to break out. We're just 40 seconds away from the game that, or the fight that could decide the game as well. We'll see what happens.
Well, we will see if T1 can manage to pull it back. They have 30 seconds. I don't think Faker, even though he has the Amp Tome to sell, I don't think he's going to be able to get to it. And another thing I'm worried about is Lilia's not going to be able to get to Leandre's either. The resets are not there. No Black Cleaver for Renekton unless he's going to recall right now and TP into the fray. Maybe he'll have it available. But if this is the case, if this is T1's last hurrah with these stunted items, Genji are actually, they are way further ahead than the gold graph at the top would otherwise suggest because they have their items completed.
Absolutely. And it looks like Ruler just gonna aggro the Mountain Drake. He's trying to pull it over and maybe get on top of that one. Take a look at the positioning. Actually spotted by the ward. BDD looking to flank. Rascal in a really awkward spot though. In goes BDD. They're trying to get on top of LM as Rascal will go away. But there's the Mountain Soul going the way of Genji, which is massive in this game. T1, they get life, but that is it. And even 5v4 without life, I think Genji have a chance to take some fights here. So T1, they're looking for some value on the map. They're just going to try to get these turrets in the mid lane.
Well, I don't know what T1 are doing. They seem panicked. They're just randomly in mid right now. They're still on double needlessly large rod. Haunting Guy's blasting wand. They need to recall and get their items. They're trolling.
Oh, here we go. LM gonna take a big chunk of damage. Over the wall goes the Nidalee. That was a little bit aggressive. They're trying to get on top of Gumayusi, and they should be able to do it. BDD is getting into that backline and will take him down. Rascal and him going 2v2, or 2v3 rather. BDD is going to put up the stopwatch, but the chase is still on. Ruler incredibly strong right now, just gonna chunk through LM like he doesn't even exist. Down goes Faker, and there's just not much left standing here for T1.
I mean, Valdez, it is absolutely looking like it's over. 99.99% of the time, this game is going to go the way of Gen.G. They're going to get the Baron. They have what is going to be a 5,000 gold lead at the end of this. Mountain Soul picked up with two mountains, so not quite 3 like what happens sometimes. It doesn't matter. 12% amp, all that EHP given over. This one looked pretty good. Almost. Gumiyashi looking like he was going to be able to steal a kill onto Rascal, but it just doesn't matter in the end. Mountain Soul goes over. T1 arbitrarily group up in mid lane like they are seemingly lost without a compass. I have no idea what they're thinking here. And Gen.G are probably thinking very similarly. What are they doing? Ellen literally stops and turns to hit Scuttlecrab as if they're ever going to stop and hit it. I have no idea what is going on.
Yeah, I mean, it was confusing, right? I was saying, you know, T1 are desperately trying to find value after just giving over the Mountain Soul and not really able to effectively confront Gen.G at that objective. And Gumayusi is, you know, he's got that Hex Drinker, thankfully, but BDD is quite the assassin at this moment in time. Well, okay, there's Dominus. Rascal's like, okay, I'll just walk away. Up 2 levels. Not a big problem for him, and Gen.G are on the doorstep of Worlds right now. This is a big sweep if they could pull it off here, and it's looking likely as they push to take this inhibitor.
Well, it does look like this might be the final pushes as Gen.G are looking to go to Worlds as the final seed from the LCK. We'll see what happens. Here we go. Next.
It's looking really likely. They're just taking down everything. The tutorial victory. And you got even Rascal pushing up on the top side. Could just group, I feel, in mid, but they want to take it slow. They want to be safe. There's so much on the line for this game, as we have continuously mentioned. BDD just going to come in here, zone them out as they take down the 3rd inhibitor. And again, they are quite literally on the doorstep of making it into the World Championship if they do win this game. Ultimate is down from Ruler, but he doesn't seem to care. The chipping comes in, and Gumayusi is in the front line for no reason, goes down, not able to stand up to the power that is Gen.G. Really nice combo, Shockwave coming in, but it doesn't look like it's gonna matter. They get pulled in, and Gen.G will be making it to the World Championship of 2020 with the 3-0 sweep over T1. Absolute domination here in this final round of the regional qualifiers. Ruler gonna give Rascal a little slap on the back and absolutely deserves it for their domination here in this series.
And it was a massacre, even in game number 3, which should have been T1's biggest chance to win. Gen.G just really showed that they are all around better, from the drafting to the gameplay to the laning phases. Quite literally everything they do was just better in all of the games. So they're gonna go to Worlds. There is the flag. See you at Worlds. And this is gonna be very interesting to see Gen.G at Worlds, because I stated that out of the other teams that was not Damwon, Gen.G's approach to the game of being solid and stable can be very good in the Worlds environment, where things can get very chaotic and things can be very problematic, and you can see that the T1 players are not looking very happy with how everything transpired.
It's, you know, that's a rough defeat. We really got to highlight, as I think that's Arnold, actually. Yeah, there he is. on screen, comes in, gives a victory, looks like coffees. His teeth. No cake in the face, as it is obviously a massive victory, and they will be making their way over to Worlds. All happiness, lots of clapping over here on the side of the victor. Gotta feel bad for T1. We will not be seeing them at Worlds. And this certainly felt like a year of LCK where we wish we had 4 seeds.
Yes.
You know, there were 4 teams that were quite obviously better than everybody else. We called it the top 4, the elite 4, all year round. They would always defeat everybody below them. Like, Afrika was there on the doorstep, but they couldn't quite be considered as part of that top 5. And it's really unfortunate that we will lose one of them, and that it does end up being T1. So it's going to be Damwon, DRX, and Genji for the Korea region at World.
And I like that you reiterate about the top 4, but even at the end, Afrika actually almost making runs, almost as if they belonged in the top 4. And if we were going to phrase it like that, then Damwon is definitely Trainer Red, because they are just a tier above basically everyone else, and they're going to be basically the champions of LCK that probably everyone that is a fan of the LCK is looking forward to seeing at Worlds. As Genji, this was a massacre, and again, if you remember the DRX series, they were destroying DRX in those games before the Great Pause.
Games 2 and 3, it was like, okay, Genji is going to Worlds. Like, I remember watching that series and I'm like, yeah, I mean, okay, Genji up against Damwon, it's all going according to what we expected. And then no, DRX were able to utilize the Great Pause. And again, we mentioned before, it would have been interesting to see DRX up against T1 in this gauntlet final. And I know that you and I are pretty much on the same page in thinking that Genji is the second strongest team from Korea to go to Worlds. And I think they proved that over the course of 2 best of 5s against, you know, some of the other really strong teams here in Korea. So very excited to see what they can do alongside of Damwon and DRX. DRX at the same time kind of feels like a wild card, you know, where it's, you know, they're really strong. Obviously they have insane laners, but can be a bit inconsistent. So excited for them too. As we're just going through some of the highlights from the game. This was Genji's victory, and it was pretty clean. You know, there were some moments for T1 in this game as they were trying to desperately pull off the reverse sweep, but once again, Genji got the better of them. I think that Gumayusi looked a lot better yesterday, to be honest. I think he was a little bit more comfortable. The pressure was really on today, and Genji knew to strike at the young hearts, the rookie players of T1, as the top lane as well. I mean, kind of got bodied for the majority of this series. Rascal, incredibly consistent, and was able to get the better of him most times.
And I mean, I feel like even if you look at the 10.19, which is going to be the World patch, Genji not really going to be affected by too much. I mean, Azir does get nerfed in that. But I think that Genji's approach to the game right now is going to be pretty good for the World stage. I am looking forward to seeing how they will do in the tournament. I think they've truly earned it after tonight's series, because I don't think there's anyone that can doubt that they are just an entire tier above T1.
Absolutely, and it was proven tonight. That was the case. And it's insane to think that Damwon are then just yet another tier above even Genji and DRX. So really excited to see again what these teams will be able to pull off at Worlds. It's going to be a really fun time, really looking forward to it later on this month. As we're taking a look at the damage charts, turns out that Volibear is, you know, he got ahead in the early game, remember guys, and just made the laning phase once again so difficult for Kana. Wasn't much that he could do, as the teleport advantage was real, and Rascal was able to get very far ahead from there.
Yeah. I mean, it was never able to really get anything going. This is why I'm always confused sometimes when the question marks come up in terms of draft priorities. I mean, we saw T1 constantly going into it. We're going to go to the interview, though.
Yeah, let's hand it over to Ji-sun for the translation.
감독 대행부터.
Congratulations,
자,
Genji,
감독으로서
for
월드 진출에
qualifying
성공했습니다.
for Worlds.
소감 한 말씀 부탁드리겠습니다.
How do you
어떠십니까?
feel, Odin?
일단 직행이 아니라서
Well, I'm sad that we had to go through this gauntlet, you know?
네. 아이 그래도
We are the number 3 seed, but at the same time, it feels awesome to qualify for Worlds.
본인도 그리고 팀도 이렇게 추스리기가 쉽지 않았을
Yeah,
것
that
같은데
loss
파괴력이 더
in the
늘어난 것
playoffs
같았습니다.
round 2 was a big
자,
bummer. However,
어떻게
you guys
그,
came back even stronger.
플레이오프의 그 아쉬움을
So
극복할
how
수
did the
있었는지
preparation
말씀 좀
go, and how did you overcome that loss?
사실 그날 4, 5세트는 저희 다 잊었어요.
We just
그러니까 저희는
forgot
사실
what
그날
happened in
게임은
game 4 and 5
잊었고,
on that
또
day.
오늘은 저희 할 거만 하면은 다
We
이기니까
solely focused on our own play
자신 있게
for
잘한
today, and everyone did a great
그런
job
마인드 컨트롤이
with
있었기
confidence.
때문에 오늘 경기는 또 이렇게 좋은
I think that's the kind of mind control that players and team needs in order to win the series. So let's move on to BDD with the flowers.
네, 소감 말씀 부탁드릴게요.
How are you feeling, BDD?
그 뭐지? 저희가 플레이오프 딱 지고
After we
너무
lost in the
침울했는데
playoffs, we were super
약간
depressed.
다 같이 잘 뭉치면서
However, we kept our teamwork and we got our mental fortitude back, and I'm happy that we're able to secure this kind of result.
2017 시즌 이후 3년 만에
BDD, it's been 3
롤드컵에
years
진출하게
since you
되셨는데
made
당연히
Worlds.
좀 남다르시지 않을까라는 생각도 들고
Must mean a lot to
특별히
you.
이제 롤드컵에 진출한 팀들 대충
Especially,
아시잖아요.
I mean, now all the teams have locked in to Worlds. Who do you want to face up against at Worlds? Any mid laners specifically?
일단은 만나면은 중국
Well,
팀 LPL 선수들
LPL players,
만나고 싶고
LPL teams.
뭐 올라가서 DRX랑 꼭
And
한번 더
also, I
붙어가지고
wanna
다시 한번
rematch
이기고
up against
싶습니다.
DRX as well.
DRX랑 어디 정도에서 만나면 좋겠어요?
Which stage do you want to meet them?
DRX랑 4강이나 결승이나
Semis
그런
or
승부대에서
finals
만났으면 좋겠어요.
on a big stage.
갚아주고 싶다. 그렇죠. 네.
BDD definitely wants to get his revenge on DRX, and
하나잖아요.
we have this official BDD report card time. How do you rate your own performance today on a scale of 10? This is your
10점 만점에
final
몇
one
점 주고 싶으세요?
in the domestic league. How do you feel?
오늘은 기분 좀 내셔도 괜찮지 않을까요?
일단 평소에는
Well,
그 질문이
usually
무조건 올 거라고 생각해서 생각을 했는데
I'm always ready for that question.
일단 오늘
So
3경기
for
개인적으로
today,
라인전에서 좀
I
아쉬워가지고
think I underperformed
1.5
during the
점
laning
하겠습니다.
phase. In game number 3, so I want to give 1.5 out of 10 for me.
롤드컵에서 혹시 그런 질문 받으면 그때는 최소 8점
If
이상
you
나오기 바랍니다.
get asked with those kind of questions at Worlds, I hope you can give yourself higher than 8.
네, 좋은 플레이 해주시기 바랍니다.
Sure, thank you.
그 옆에 라스칼도 자리하고
Rascal,
있습니다.
볼리베어의 화신.
the god of Volibear.
라스칼도 2017 시즌 이후 3년 만에
Also,
이제 주전으로
you
이제 처음인
are
것
coming
같습니다.
back
네, 소감
at
말씀
Worlds
부탁드릴게요.
after 3 years, and now it's your first time as a starting top laner.
힘으로 이렇게 롤드컵 가는 게 처음이어서
This is my first time to make
것 같습니다.
Worlds with my own
오늘 볼베
hands, so it feels very
그렇죠. 어찌
valuable
보면
for me.
볼베가 요즘 탑으로 어쨌든 많이 기용되진 않는데
Volibear
정말
is not the
멋지게
top
활용하는
tier
모습이
champion
계속해서
on the top
나왔어요.
lane, but
그쪽
you are
중심으로
popping
오늘
off
준비를
on that
해오신
pick. Was that the focal point preparing for this series?
볼리베어랑 좀 이 레넥톤 두쪽
Volibear
챔피언에 대해
and Renekton. I was very confident in those two champions, so I was also really confident in that matchup.
방금 얘기하신 내용을 토대로 생각을 해보면 이제
Based on your
본인이
answer.
레넥톤을 잡았을 때 볼베 상대로 자신 있다 뭐 이런 얘기인가요?
Are you also confident playing Renekton into Volibear?
바꿔서 해도 자신 있는 거죠.
Yes,
사람의 문제.
I'm confident
주장이
playing on the other hand.
선수만이 할 수 있는 그렇죠 얘기예요.
네. 챔피언을 타는 게 아니라 파일럿 중요하다. 알겠습니다.
그렇습니다.
So,
네,
Rascal
좋은
indicating
부탁드리도록
that
하겠습니다.
Pilot
아,
Matter is
라이프
not the
선수도
champion.
잘하는데요.
And
라이프가
moving on to
월드가
live.
처음이죠?
This is your first time at Worlds, right?
라이프 월드가 처음이죠?
Yes.
네, 저 그럼 이제 소감이 이제 첫 롤드컵.
How are you feeling? This is gonna be your first Worlds, just around the corner.
첫 롤드컵이라서 떨리고
Because it's my first Worlds, I'm so happy and I'm quite nervous, but I wanna win Worlds with these teammates.
뭔가 좀 울컥하는 것도 있는 것 같아요. 라이프 선수에 대해서 요즘 코칭 스텝이나 선수들의
And
칭찬이 장난이
a lot of
아니에요.
players and coaching staff
기량이
have been
만개했다라는
praising you,
그런 얘기를 듣고
claiming
있는데
that you are now performing at your prime
본인이 생각하기에도 좀 그런
level.
느낌을 받으시는지
Do you
궁금합니다.
also agree?
저는 항상 제가 제일 잘한다 생각하고
I always
재혁이
think that
형도
I'm the best
잘해서
player, and also Ruler
다 이길 수
is
있다고
a great
생각하고
player, so I think we can win anyone.
룰라 조합은 무적이다.
그렇죠. 특히
Ruler, like definitely the lane kingdom duo on the bottom lane.
매운맛 보여줬거든요.
And you are doing a fantastic work on your set. Can you also pilot that with confidence at Worlds as well? What's your mindset going into Worlds?
세트 웬만한 팀들 모든 팀들 다
I
이길
think
수 있는 자신 있고
I can like defeat
재혁이 형이랑 한
any
개라면 다 이길
teams
수
on my
있을
set,
것 같아요.
especially with Ruler.
이게 또 서포터의 마음. 네.
That's a true mindset of a support player.
그러게요. 네. 그러면 뭐 바로 그냥 같은
And let's
바텀이니까 네.
move on to Ruler then, the bottom duo partner.
예. 자 바로 룰러에게 마이크 좀 부탁드리겠습니다. 예. 재혁이 형과 함께라면 누구든지 잡을 수 있다 그런 얘기했습니다.
Life just said that he can take down any team with Ruler together. And it's been 2 years, Ruler. How are you feeling? Making your comeback at Worlds.
되게 준비하면서 스트레스 너무 많이 받아가지고
I got so stressed out during the preparation. My skin also got irritated a lot.
좋은 팀원들이랑
But thanks to my great teammates, I'm happy that I'm able to be at Worlds with them.
재혁이 형과 함께라면 같이 인터뷰하면 좀 재혁이 형이 좀 약간 이렇게 동생 혼내는 것도 여러 차례 있었는데 이렇게
sometimes
잘 챙겨주는 네.
Ruler, you've been a little bit mean against Life, but any word of compliment over to Life this time around?
듀오를 같이 하게 된 건 좀 작년부터인데
I've been playing together with him since last year, but yeah, we were not on the same page, and I kind of yelled at him a lot last year.
좀 가면 갈수록 좀 이렇게
But as time went by, we kind of trusted each other more and more, and whoever we faced, we had this confidence that we would win. So I mean, this cannot get any better now. Are you guys friendly now?
그냥 작년에는 좀
Well,
되게
last year,
서로보단 제가 많이
I
혼냈다고 볼
think
수
I
있는데
kind of scolded him a lot, yelled at him a little bit.
그러다 보니까 저를 많이 안 좋아하더라고요.
So he didn't like me then.
근데 이제 그냥 가면 갈수록 서로 엄청 잘
But
맞아서
as we solidified our teamwork, I didn't really need to yell at him, and also he also got a lot of motivations, and now it's all good.
네, 그래서 또 젠지의 바텀하면
Genji's bottom duo
주역이라고 봐야 되고 이번
was a
시리즈에서도
key
시즌
role.
되게 의식하는 듯한 느낌도
And
많이 들었잖아요.
you know, in this series, there were a lot of target bans going up against the bottom players. Now you guys are heading to face the world-class players. So, is there any player that you're wary of?
사실 그렇게 생각은 나진 않는 것 같아요.
Nothing really comes up to my mind right now. I think we can beat anyone. Together with Life, definitely, you guys are gonna pop off at Worlds. And Clid. Now this is your second straight Worlds appearance. How do you feel?
이번에 선발전을 제가 처음 하는 거긴 한데
Well, this is my
좋은
first
팀원들이랑
experience
좀
at the
더
Worlds
재밌게
Gauntlet,
가는 것
but
같아서 되게 기분
I
좋은
think
것
I'm happy that we were able to go through this process with my teammates and very happily.
선발전의 젠지 확실히 이렇게 느낌이
So
좀
did you feel the
으스런가요?
force
뭔가?
of the
뭔가
Genji
좀
at the
강하다.
Gauntlet?
그냥 이길 것 같다.
Like you're just gonna win for sure?
근데 뭐 저희가 아래부터 올라온 게 아니라
I mean, we didn't really start at the bottom.
약간 여파도 있고 그랬는데
And also,
저희가 좀 약간 잘 추리고 한 게
we were able to come back after the loss that we experienced, though. I think that was really crucial for us.
원하는 대로 경기 잘 풀어가면서 완승을 거뒀다라는 생각이
Genji was able to pick up a clean win in Game 3, but Game 1 and 2 was going back and forth.
어떻게 전환 판단을 하고 있었는지 좀 궁금합니다.
So how did Genji kind of see the whole situation?
또 좋아하는 것도 느낌도 있었지만 약간
I mean, we
저희가
definitely like to take
코칭이나
fights,
그런 거 판단력에서
but we
좀
also
실수할 때가
made some
있어가지고
mistakes,
그것만
being a
좀
little bit too
잘하자고
greedy and making decisions. So we tried to work on those mistakes.
꼭 한번 여쭤보고 싶었던 건데 이제 클리드 선수도 LCK를
And I
대표하는
really
정글러 중에
wanted
하나예요.
to ask you about this because you are representing
정글러들의 역량에 대한
jungler of the LPL, but there are a lot of premier junglers outside of Korea, like LPL, other regions. So who do you want to face up against at Worlds?
뭐 다 각각 나라 선수 정글러분들이
Every player
다
from
색색이
every
색깔이
region
다
has
잘하시는 것 같고,
their
그리고
color, their play
만나고
style.
싶은 선수
I think
같은
they're all
경우는 뭐
very good.
작년에 양코스 선수한테 많이 졌어가지고
And I lost to Yankees a lot last year, so I wanna get a rematch.
시가문 클리드 선수 응원합니다.
이번에는 결과 좀 달랐으면 좋겠습니다.
Cloud Templar wishing him the best of luck. And
그리고 켈린
let's move on to Kellen, standing next to Ruler.
일단 형들 진짜 너무 많이 고생해서
My teammates, they definitely
형들 진짜 너무 많이
was
고생해서
working so hard.
네,
And they were
다
struggling a lot.
고생했다고 형들한테 말해주고 싶고
So I want to say thank you for your hard work.
롤드컵
You did a
준비
great
잘해서
job, and I
대회
will
한번
also
나오고 있습니다.
prepare hard for Worlds and appear at the World stage.
자, 마지막으로 코치 두 분과도 톰 코치도
And the coaching staff,
굉장히 또 LCK 팬분들
Tom,
입장에서
a very familiar face to the LCK fans.
그렇죠.
It's been a while, Tom.
탐나는 인재다.
그렇죠.
라는 얘기를 많이
A lot
들었어요.
of teams actually wanted to
보여주셨죠.
pick him up as a coaching staff. I think it's his first Worlds as a coaching staff. How do you feel?
이번에 진짜 선발전 지면 되게
Well, had we
우울하고
lost
되게
this
진짜
conflict,
또 어제
we would have
꿈밖에
been
못 잤거든요.
super
선발전
depressed because I couldn't
치러도
sleep well
진짜
last
큰일
night
날것
because
같았어요.
yeah, I
아니,
knew I was
선수들이
gonna be
되게
in a huge
잘해줘서
trouble if
3대 0으로 깔끔하게
we lose this
이겼던
game.
것
But thanks to our players performing so perfectly, we were able to get a clean victory.
사실 코칭 스태프들은 좀막그 조바심 나고 애도타고 막 그랬나 보군요.
Were the coaching staff worried about today's series?
입장도 다른 거죠.
네 맞습니다.
Yes, I mean.
그리고 그 어제 창동
In addition
코치님이랑
to that,
되게
Trace
뱀픽 시뮬레이션도 되게
and
많이 해가지고
I did a lot of
그 부분에서 좀
simulations
많은
with the
도움이
draft,
됐던 것
and that really helped us out a lot today.
그런 것들이 오늘 3등 승리 이끌어온 것 같고요. 트레이스 코치도 네.
And then moving on to Trace, how are you feeling qualifying for Worlds?
저는 톰처럼 잠을 못 자진 않았고
I didn't really
잡고
like fail to
오늘
sleep,
선수들이
just like
끝나고
Tom
난
did. I had
그것처럼 약간
a good night's sleep.
당연히 이길 거라고 생각했기 때문에
And as the players
선수들을
mentioned,
믿고
I also thought that
잠도
we're gonna
푹
win
자고
for sure. So I slept well, and I knew that we were gonna get this win.
그러면 오늘 뭐 저희가 어쨌든 선발전 때 따로 POG를 선정하지는 않는데 혹시
We don't,
코치님 입장에서 뭔가 POG를
vote for
선정한다면
POGs for the
자체,
World's
다
Gauntlet, but
잘하셨지만.
if you were to vote one, who's your POG?
한 명만 뽑는다고 약간 그런 느낌으로 말씀.
네.
Just one?
사실 뭐 전부 다 POG라고 하는 건 있지만
I mean, everyone deserves the POG, so let's just kind of pick one.
그렇죠.
The Sears POG.
오늘 POG는
Today's POG
코치로 하겠습니다.
will be Tom, our coach.
왜요? 왜?
Why? Why is that?
그러게요. 예. 밀어주고 당겨주고 왜? 선정의 근거는
아무래도 뱀픽 준비 열심히 했으니까.
Because he worked so hard for this draft, and we were able to get a good result.
본인 입장에서
So I voted for Tom for POG.
앞으로도 더 큰 활약 기대하도록 하겠습니다. 감사합니다. 자, 그럼 이제 주영달 감독. 롤드컵에서
back to Odin.
더 큰 활약 얘기해야 되지 않겠습니까? 그리고 많은 이제 그 전 세계 팬들이
You guys are now heading for Worlds. What's your resolution and mindset participating Worlds this year? It's been, you've been to Worlds for so many times since Samsung Galaxy. So as a head coach, what's your mindset for this year's Worlds journey?
말씀드리려고 했었는데 그 길을 이어받아서 이번에
Yeah, I was gonna mention Samsung the Dynasty. So
월드컵 우승하고
with their energy, we will come back with the trophy.
네. 자, 그리고 그 선수 중에서도 각오한 말씀이라든가 끝으로 하고 싶은 말씀
Any players wanna make a statement for Worlds?
있으면 예. 주장이나 예. 네.
Ruler, the captain.
든 남자 한 말씀.
On flowers.
저희가
Or behind the flowers.
올라가게 됐는데 힘들게
It was a
올라간 만큼
tough journey for us,
롤드컵에서
but
더
as we
좋은
made
모습 많이
it,
보여드릴 수 있도록
we will
노력했고
do our best to
지금까지
show
많이
better
응원해주셔서
performance at
감사하고
Worlds, and I
열심히
appreciate all the love and support from our fans, and we will work even harder for the Worlds.
네. 입을 가려서. 네. 다시 한번 오늘
Once again, huge congratulations over to the Gen.G players and the teams and the coaching staff for qualifying for Worlds, and wish you the best of luck at Worlds. And this will be the end of the interview with the Gen.G squad, and I'm gonna pass it back to our casters. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Jisun, as always, for the wonderful translation of the winner's interview. Genji will be moving on to Worlds alongside of DRX and Damwon from the Korea region. They do it again in the Gauntlet, as all things, all things are straight, as they should be. Once again, history repeats itself, and man, big smackdown there. As, by the way, guys, we will have the World Championship draw show on September 15th, so make sure you guys are tuning into that.
It's my birthday. So I'm hoping for good Korean group draws. Okay, there we go.
Funny fact is actually that your birthday is one day after mine. So we've got the caster synergy going, and either way, we'll definitely be interested to see which groups do end up happening throughout all of that. But it was a quick day today, guys. A clean sweep from Genji. They get the 3-0, and they will move on to Worlds very deservedly. So congratulations to them. Thank you, LS, for casting with me today and all season long. And we'll see you guys next time here at the LCK. Have a good night.
World has changed and I am ready to get on. Told me to be myself and never feel alone. You're all that I want, all that I need. If I was ever in the dark, I'd see